It's the second week of the Texas high school football playoffs. We saw teams continue on their journey after the bi-district round, and other teams, well, they're blowing up basketballs. It's the most gruesome time of year in Texas high school football, but as a fan, I can tell you it's the best one around. And we hope that this is the best show around as you tune in to our last and final show here tonight for Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Ashley Pickle, the executive producer, Mr. Ishmael Johnson, our social media strategist partner. It's gone way too fast, but luckily we've got one more night to celebrate here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, the greatness of the Texas high school football playoffs.
Yeah, honestly, if I had to guess, the area around is probably the most chaotic weekend because, of course, you have bi-district where there's the most playoff teams, you know, there's the most upsets potentially. I think this is where we start to see more of the upsets because you start to see the district crossover. You start to see strong districts play against districts that are not as strong and beat champions, beat teams that maybe have finished first or second. I think that's more of that parity. As the brackets go along, you start to see districts kind of realign, right? Champions, rivals kind of play each other again. You get more crossover here, Austin versus San Antonio. I think this weekend in particular, the next two, to be more specific, are my favorite of the whole playoff run.
This is that round that you can't get caught looking ahead. Yeah. That's something that we want to watch out for.
Because you see that regional semifinal and you're like, ooh, we're really close.
We're close.
You see a team like DeSoto or you see a team like Salina and you're like, ooh, we're one game away from playing them. Yep. You got to win this week. Got to take care of business.
You sure do. And we have an unbelievable slate of games here for our spotlight games on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. We've got a jam-packed schedule, including Lufkin and College Station, Waco La Vega taking on West Orange Stark, Fort Bend Marshall and Bastrop, a clash of styles that I'm super excited to watch there. Fort Bend Ridge Point taking on the 6A Division I runner-up of last year, the North Shore Mustangs. Then, how about a cross-regional matchup, Austin and San Antonio? Can the San Antonio Johnson Jaguars finally get that done there from Lake Travis? And then finally, you round it all out in the Houston area, Willis taking on Tomball. And of course, we'll be joined throughout the night by our incredible Dave Campbell's Texan Live broadcasters, including Evan Schumer, Jay Dunson, Chris Elliott, and then our very own Matt Stepp and Carter Yates, representing Dave Campbell's Texas football out at Prosper, Walnut Grove, and Lubbock Cooper. And then Carter is out at Longview and Lancaster. Incredibly excited to talk to those guys coming up here in the program. This is the place to be. Highlights all night long, score updates across the state, and live game action. Before we get to all of that, though, we do want to preface last night a very, very fun Thursday slate of the area round games, including the game that you and I were in attendance to at the Star.
The
Star in Frisco is Alvarado taking on Frisco Panther Creek in an absolute banger.
Yeah, incredible game. Honestly, I'll admit, I wanted to see more of Alvarado in this game as far as like why I chose this. I wanted to see Cartier Collier and the Indians in particular. And, you know, for the most part, they lived up to their end of the billing. What I did not expect was to see, maybe this is, you know, my own naivety, Frisco Panther Creek going absolutely toe-to-toe with one of the best offenses in the state. Of course, they have players like Centel Simpson, Jalen Lott, but also quarterback Graylin Fry had a great game as well. He played a little banged up as well. He got hurt. He came back, didn't look hurt the rest of the game. But it was just a game of offenses going back and forth, as you're just seeing now. Every single haymaker was met with another counter from either team. Instead of it being a double overtime game, as you're seeing here from Isaiah Sanchez. Keep this name in mind, by the way. Isaiah Sanchez sending this game into overtime. We'll get more on him later. You have a little interesting note. I don't want to steal your spotlight on that. You have an interesting note about Isaiah Sanchez, but of course, in overtime, Frisco Panther Creek and Alvarado still going back and forth, trading touchdowns. And there's the man again, Isaiah Sanchez, in double overtime with a chance to win and send the Indians to the regional semifinal. And it's good to go. An incredible, incredible game inside the Star. 44-41, Alvarado over Frisco Panther Creek. But let's talk a little bit more about this kicker, Isaiah Sanchez for Alvarado.
Yes, so that's the first time that Alvarado is advancing to, you'll hear this term a lot this show, but playing on Thanksgiving in Texas high school football is the goal. Okay, obviously a state championship, but a lot of coaches will tell you there's no better Thanksgiving than playing on them on Thanksgiving, and that would be the first time for Alvarado in 2011. And the man that helped to get them there, Isaiah Sanchez, the kicker, before last night had attempted one field goal the entire year, and it was a miss. Last night, in the second quarter of the game, he made a 45-yarder. Crowd went wild. Then he makes the field goal to take them to overtime, and then he solidifies it, going 3 for 3 after only one missed attempt any point. Earlier in the year, Isaiah Sanchez, where is the statue at Alvarado High School? Because he's going down as an absolute legend after last night.
He earned it. Him and the holder. I didn't get the holder's name.
He
but
gets
he was also
the
just
hype.
Fired up. He was just as
the
fired
hype
up
man of the year.
Because also in that situation, the holder has a big responsibility too. So it's obviously on Sanchez to make the field goal, but the holder, you only know the holder's name if he messes up. And he got both down. Everything went smoothly. And for a team that, of course, they kick extra points. So, like, yes, they run the routine of the field goal, but they didn't kick field goals all year until last night, and they ran it perfectly. Alvarado, an incredible crowd too at Alvarado as well.
Great crowd, and their junior running back, DeMarcus Belton, does not get enough credit. Keep an eye on that guy. He's going to continue to cause pain to other teams throughout the season. All right, coming up next, there was another incredible game, this one between A&M Consolidated and Galveston Ball. After the break, we're going to have the highlights from that one, but we've got to get you started with a Dave Campbell's favorite and our man, the king Vakapuna Faketi. And this touchdown for Consolidated called by our very own Trevor Bullard. We'll show you this, and then there's more after the break.
Vakapuna Faketi, touchdown, Consol!
Want to talk Texas high school football with your two favorite dorks? Join television's Greg Tepper and Ashley Gizmo Pickle every Monday and Thursday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Texas Football Today, the flagship program of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. It's the same analysis, insight, review, and preview that you've come to know and love. Talking about Texas high school football and college football all across the Lone Star State.
In a college football world that's increasingly nationalized, Dave Campbell's Texas Football presents The Republic of Football, the only comprehensive podcast on all 13 college teams in Texas. Live every Tuesday at noon on the Dave Campbell's YouTube page, Twitter, Facebook pages, and publishing on Apple Podcasts and Spotify shortly thereafter. Host Ishmael Johnson leads the gang in discussing the biggest college football stories from the state. You get coverage of the SEC, Big 12, ACC, AAC, CUSA, and Sunbelt, but with a little Texas twist. No one has their finger on the pulse like senior college writer MC Mike Craven, staff writer Carter Yates, and everyone's favorite Malpal producer Mallory Hartley. Come spend your lunch break, your car ride, or gym session with the Republic of Football. Live on Tuesdays at noon at TexasFootball.com and published everywhere you get your podcast shortly thereafter.
Are you ready to kick off your Wednesdays with a fresh, fun, and fearless take on football? Tune in to Women Talking Football, hosted by the dynamic duo of Dave Campbell's Texan Live, Ashley Pickle, and Mallory Hartley. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m., join us on TexasFootball.com as we deep dive into every corner of the Lone Star State's football scene. From exclusive insights with coaches' wives to on-the-ground reports from across Texas, we've got the inside scoop you won't get anywhere else. Get ready for a game-changing experience where the ladies bring their A-game and you might just find yourself saying WTF in the best way possible. Women Talking Football, where sports analysis meets sass and expertise. You can't miss it.
Want to go deep on Texas high school football? Check out Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Each week, Greg Tepper and Matt Stepp take you inside Texas high school football like nobody else, breaking down the biggest games and the biggest storylines from all across the state. Want to know more about Texas high school football than the guy at your water cooler? Go to TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber so you can get Tep and Step in your podcast feed. Or tune in every Friday at noon at TexasFootball.com for premium insights from Texas high school football experts Matt Stepp and Greg Tepper.
The very last Texas Football Tonight. Not ever, but of this season. We got to cut this off somehow. It's the area round, though. It's a pretty fun weekend, if you ask me.
He really likes to hang out with me, if you can't tell.
I'm almost done. This is great. We have one more Thursday game to get through. Let's go down to Legacy Stadium. Just as exciting of a game, but for a completely different reason. You'll see why in a bit. Galveston Ball versus A&M Consolidated, a game that we kind of had tabbed, but of course without Jonah Williams, we were kind of wondering how good Galveston Ball really could be. As we're seeing here, middle of the second quarter, as you see, that score is not a typo, folks. That is 0-0 in the second quarter as A&M Consolidated comes up with a huge stop, and that's going to paint a picture of how this game just kind of went. 0-0 still in the second quarter as you see Consolidated trying just to get something on the board. Galveston Ball's defense, again, without arguably their best player, Jonah Williams, I'd say inarguably probably, holding this Consolidated team to a field goal going into the half. Now, let's skip ahead to the third quarter. Still 3-0. Okay, this is still within the grasp for the Golden Tornadoes as you're seeing them trying to work down the field. And I think me and you were checking this game on our phones while we were at Alvarado and Frisco Panther Creek. And we just kept looking, it's like, is that the score?
There's no way.
There's no way that's the score. And sure enough, yeah, Trevor Bullitt, who was on the call for this game for us, kept messaging us like, yeah, no, this is the score. As you're seeing there, points were at a premium, 3-3, late into the third. Every little play had consequences.
And we knew that Galveston Ball's offense, like you said, was going to take a step back without Jonah Williams. But this defense, as you just saw there, is capable of keeping them in games. And I think that's what was a shock to A&M Consolidated, because this is a team, out of their 12 games that they've played, 6 of them have been over 50 points that they've scored. Okay, I mean, they're dropping 50 burgers left and right. So this was a shocking score that it came down to our king, Vakapuna Faketi, having to get the game-winning touchdown right here,
the big power formation, the Wildcat.
He's a defensive player. His other 3 touchdowns have been on the defensive side of the ball, and look at the lettuce into the end zone.
I will say that it's a jumbo package. It's a jumbo package, and he just said, screw the blocking. I'm going at those 3 guys right there, and lowers the shoulder. And as you're seeing Galveston Ball trying to get something late here and nearly doing it. I mean, again, this is a back and forth game, 10-3 the whole way, and they end up holding on. Consolidated does. I mean, a stunner of how this unfolded.
A dogfight.
Right?
I mean, just a defensive rock fight.
100%. And credit to both teams' defenses. I will say, I know Consolidated won. We'll get on them, as you mentioned. But Galveston Ball, again, this is a team that lost their best player, one of the best players in the country, Jonah Williams, earlier this year. And we were wondering, how good is this team, right? How good can we write them off, right? I think it's in the back of our minds, yeah, probably a little bit. And no, they made us pay attention down to the wire against a team that is one of the favorites to come out of this region and should still be considered one of the teams to come out of this region in Consolidated. But I came away respecting this season so much more from Galveston Ball because we thought, is this the team kind of carried by one player? And the answer is no.
No, it was very impressive, and for A&M Consolidated, I think a really, really good reminder that, hey, we are capable of putting up a lot of points. We honestly do that all the time, but we are also capable of playing in a big defensive battle like that, and they've got that dog in them, they've got the tenacity to be able to pull that out. So a dicey way to be reminded of that, but one that I have a feeling as they continue on in the playoffs, they'll look back on and say that was a good thing that happened.
I was about to say, there's no style points. All the thing that matters is the win, right?
Yeah, survive and advance. There's the name of the game in the Texas high school football playoffs. It doesn't matter how you do it. It doesn't have to necessarily be pretty. Survive and advance.
Yep. Alrighty, every week this past season we've named a Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week. We're going to continue that tradition one more time. And can I get a drum roll, please? Congratulations to Sealy quarterback Kane Killow. Last week had 202 yards through the air, 5 touchdowns passing, but also added 118 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns. Congratulations to him through our by-district Player of the Week. Congratulations to Kane Killow. Celebrate, young man, Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week, and we'll be right back after this. You're watching Texas Football Tonight.
I love Lake Travis. The soul of this community is supporting the kids. Coach Chalmers comes to school every single day with just an attitude of, how can I serve, how can I help these kids? Nobody works harder than her. She just has a heart to serve kids and to serve people.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football is proud to partner with Sport Tyler to award the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose National Player of the Week. which recognizes the top offensive player in Division I college football, who also exhibits the enduring characteristics that define Earl Campbell: integrity, performance, teamwork, sportsmanship, drive, community, and tenacity. It all leads up to the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, announced in January. Congratulations to this week's winner of the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose National Player of the Week. For more information, visit earlcampbellaward.com.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Higginbotham have teamed up to find the most driven team in Texas. This fall, 10 finalists will be highlighted throughout the season, with one student athlete from each team receiving the Most Driven Scholar Athlete Award for their leadership in the classroom, along with $1,000 in tuition assistance. In November, all 10 communities will rally to vote on TexasFootball.com, competing for the title of the most driven team in Texas. The school that rallies the most online votes will receive a $10,000 donation to their school, thanks to the support of Higginbotham. To learn more, visit TexasFootball.com/mostdriventeam.
Hey DFW residents, get your grocery essentials in minutes, not hours or days, with Wing Drone Delivery. Forget about last-minute trips to the store when you need things like cereal for breakfast before school, medicine for a cold, or snacks for a movie night. Wings drones get you quick, no-contact delivery in as fast as 15 minutes. Say goodbye to last-minute grocery runs and say hello to more of your valuable time. Sign up today.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Wing have selected 64 high schools in DFW to take part in a head-to-head online bracket challenge, showing their school pride and community spirit during the 2024 Texas high school football season. The winner will receive a $5,000 donation back to their school. We're currently in the championship, ending November 29th, with the Arlington Colts facing off against the Byron Nelson Bobcats. For more information on the challenge, go to texasfootball.com/most-spirited-school-challenge. We're back here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight, and Ishmael, we've got brackets.
We got brackets. We got a green screen.
You know what people love? Brackets.
Yes.
Just in general.
Yes.
People love brackets.
We just let them watch it. We can walk off.
Yeah, if y'all just want the bracket, we can do that. How about we break down some brackets, though, because that's what the people really want. We start off here in Class 4A, Division II. Yeah. Let's focus in on Region 3, because we're talking about our spotlight games throughout the brackets and how their brackets are kind of shaping up. So we start off in Region 3 here. Our spotlight game, Waco, La Vega, Western Stark on the bottom half of Region 3. What's important about this one?
I mean, first, you got to start that this is a rematch, right? Western Stark won this game earlier in the year by a touchdown, I believe, only, so it wasn't exactly a dominant performance. So one, I think that's thing number one. Thing number two is this is probably the bottom half. It's probably where the champion's going to come from, if I had to make a bet, right? Of course, you don't want to discount Hampshire Finesse, who had a great year as well. But I would say Belleville, Silsbee, Waco, La Vega, and Western Stark are probably the favorites. I don't know how you feel if you disagree with that, but I feel like the Region 3 champion comes from this half.
No, I think so too. And I think not only does the Region 3 champion come here, I think if you zoom out and you go down to Region 4, you're going to see that you've got some teams here. Wimberley, always a contender up there in Region 4. I think Sinton is another one, and those are probably your two top favorites coming out of that. Sure. I would still say at this point, Region 3 might have a little bit more of a chance to get back into that state championship game.
Yeah, of course, you look at Belleville, played for state championship last year. Silsbee, we're still trying to figure out what exactly they are post-Draylen Miller. I think they've proven themselves to be still a formidable team for sure, but I think Waco, La Vega, Western Stark is that interesting team for me where it's like, maybe we weren't talking about them 3-4 weeks ago that we maybe in the way that we maybe should have. I think you're right on that 100%, that possibly this side of the bracket entirely probably hinges on this bottom half.
So there's the right side of the bracket for 4A Division 2. Let's go ahead and bounce on up to 4A Division 1, focusing on our next spotlight game here, and this one coming out of Region 2. We take a look at Region 2. It's the game that we watched last night. Alvarado obviously moving on here into the regional semifinal round. They will play the winner of Sulphur Springs and Springtown, but Ish, you look right here, okay? Circle this one, because this is who you need to be focused on in Salina.
Yeah, 100%. The Bobcats have been having an incredible year top to bottom. I mean, you could look at, honestly, outside of maybe the Duncanville they're probably pound for pound been the most impressive team in Texas high school football this year. One of top 5, probably, depending on how you like your game played. I haven't found a weakness with this team yet, right? But of course, you have to remind yourself, can't look ahead, right? They have to take care of business against Kennedale. They have to worry about whoever then if they win that, Aubrey and Decatur, obviously have to worry about who they play there. But Alvarado and Panther Creek, I think me and you were at that game saying whoever wins this game is probably the favorite to go to the regional final against potentially Salina. So I think that's going to be an interesting clash of styles as well.
Oh,
Salina's a grinded out team. If it comes to that, if Alvarado can take care of business against Springtown or Sulphur Springs, I'm very fascinated by this because I think we have a potential state champion coming out of this region.
Well, and that's a good question. Let's look up at Region 1 here in 4A Division 1. You take a look and you've got a couple of teams. I think Stephenville is absolutely one to keep your eye on. If Lampasas or Brownwood could get hot at the right times, I think Stephenville is your heavy favorite out of Region 1, likely proving true to your theory that the winner of Region 2, I think right now, from what we're seeing, would be favored. But a potential Alvarado, Salina, with a Stephenville matchup, that's a fun state semifinal.
That's a fun state semifinal. I'm glad you brought up Lampasas, though, because Redrome has come back from what I understand. He wasn't healthy for a lot of this year, so we don't know exactly how good this Lampasas team is ceiling-wise, right? If this was the team that we saw against Wimberley at one point this year, okay, then we're talking about something. Yeah, they can play. But if it's not exactly that team, of course, he missed a couple games. I believe he was knocked out in the Waco U game. But if he's back to 100% and they're back to clicking, then we have something to talk about in a potential Stephenville-Lampasas regional final, which will be very, very interesting to see.
Absolutely. We're here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight, breaking down brackets of our Spotlight games, telling you why these games matter. We matriculate on to our next bracket here, 5A Division 2. Let's specifically head on over to Region 3. In this one, we're going back to the right side of the bracket, and you're looking at, right now, Bastrop and Fort Bend Marshall.
Yeah, this one is a very fascinating game because you have a resurgent Bastrop program, right, with their best year in forever, versus a team that we're used to seeing come out of this region in Fort Bend Marshall. Obviously, they haven't been up to their standards probably of the Devon A. Chain or Malik Hornsby years, but they're still right there. And I think Bastrop, this is going to be Bastrop's first big test outside of the Austin area, outside of Centex. I'm very fascinated to see how they hold up. Weston Nielsen is an incredible quarterback. He's led by a bunch of senior playmakers. How does that hold up for a Bastrop team that's still new to contending in the state? I believe they're your pick coming out of this region, right? Correct?
I'm very, very impressed with them.
Yeah, 100%. I think you should be. But I'm still curious about what happens when they step out of that Austin region. Of course, they have a great win over Liberty Hill, right, in that district, which gives them something. And, of course, Brenham, that's a game we're going to be keeping track of 100%. That's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. But we can look right there. Richmond Randall, right? Is this the team to beat in this region?
Which was funny because you remember Liberty Hill specifically, usually in Region 4. Let's take a look at Region 4 real fast to see kind of where this switches out. I think that you've got a couple of really good teams here. First and foremost, Alamo Heights, the Mules. If you haven't been keeping track of what Ron Ritteman and Michael Terry have been doing, blowing people out of the water. I think if they go up against a team like potentially Corpus Christi Miller or even Bernie, if they were to meet them in the regional finals, both of those very enticing matchups. I think that Alamo Heights is likely your favorite, and then Region 3, it is almost anybody's game, which is something that some of those teams haven't seen in a while.
I think the most interesting thing, if we can go back to Region 3 really quick, I think the most interesting thing is that you mentioned it. These are new teams that we're not used to seeing, right? I know Brenham's a storied program, but as far as recent history, right? As far as a regional contender, Richmond Randall, Brenham, of course Liberty Hill's been there, but Bastrop, right? These are teams that we're not used to quite seeing in a one game away from state potentially, which is what they could be if they win the region. So yeah, I'm very
Liberty Hill excited to see Fort Natchez Groves get moved over to Region 2, and then they got welcomed with a grueling Region 3. All right, so there is 5A Division 2. We move on now to 5A Division 1, and let's head into our Region 3 as we take a look at A&M Consolidated and Galveston Ball. Not only that, obviously finishing up last night, so we know they're moving on to play the winner of Barbers Hill and LaPorte, but here is our other big one tonight. Lufkin taking on College Station. What do you see in this one?
I see the other team that's potentially favored in this region, right? I think you look at A&M Consolidated last night, and sure, you may say, ooh, 10-3 against a hobbled Galveston Ball. How good is this team? I think teams have slip-ups, right? I think that just happens. They don't play their best games, or teams play up as the Galveston Ball did, I think, in particular last night. But I think if you look at the Lufkin College Station game, I think you look at the front runner to meet A&M Consolidated, potentially beat A&M Consolidated. We'll see if that rematch happens between College Station and A&M Consolidated or a resurgent Lufkin team. I think this game right here decides who meets eventually College Station, A&M Consolidated.
I would hardcore agree with that. Looking at Region 4 real fast to see who those two teams would end up meeting up with in the 4th place spot. Let me tell you, if you are sleeping on Region 4's, this game right up here at the very top of the bracket, San Antonio Piper taking on Flower Bluff, is box office stuff in the area round. I mean, it's hard to find a game that I am more hyped about than that one here tonight.
Yeah, this one is a game that, if the winner of this game, I would pencil them in to be probably the favorite, in my opinion. In my opinion, the loose favorite, because I think Piper beat Smithson Valley earlier this year in district, and San Antonio Flower Bluff has been one of the best teams in South Texas all year. So I would probably pencil in the winner of tonight's game as the, on paper, favorite to come out of Region 4. But of course, as we saw last year, PHJ North is right there, very capable of making a regional final run. Of course, Smithson Valley, as we saw, they made state, right? So this is a team that's also very capable of making it to a regional final, winning a region. But that's what makes this one more intriguing, is that we're seeing a potential regional final quality matchup in area round.
So that's 5A Division 1. We move on now to 6A Division 2, specifically going down to Region 2 this evening. You take a look at Willis and Tomball. This one, a very interesting matchup. You've got a Tomball team that's relied a lot on its defense, a Willis team that has an electrifying offense, but are you looking ahead? Because just north of you is where DeSoto, the two-time reigning state champs in 6A Division 2, lies. This one specifically for Willis is one that you cannot look ahead on.
You mentioned it when we opened the show. This is the look ahead week. You cannot get caught looking ahead. Willis, we remember I was in the Alamo Dome when they faced DeSoto last year. It was a great game. DJ Lagway did a lot. Jermaine Bishop was incredible, but DeSoto just had enough. A lot of those players on this Willis team were on that team. They cannot get caught looking ahead because, as we've seen with Tomball in recent history, I believe Rockwall Heath knows what Tomball can do. If you overlook them, they can knock you out of the playoffs, and all of a sudden you're looking at an upset loss to a Tomball team that plays physical, that can play up to anybody's ability. So I really do have Willis as one of the favorites. Of course, it's going to come down if they win, come down potentially next week to DeSoto. But do not get caught sleeping on this Tomball team. They've done it before, just 2 years ago, I believe. Don't get caught sleeping.
That's a Tomball team I covered in 2019 in the state semifinal games. They can sneak up on you. Looking up at Region 1, though, out of anybody that would come out of Region 2, who likely are they to take on? And there's a couple of them right here. First off, Wolfer Friendship and South Lake Carroll knotted up at 28-28 at halftime. Keep your eye on the ball on that one, as Riley Dodge's team looking a little bit in danger out there in Midland. Crowley, a potential contender, and then I think Denton Geyer might be your favorite out of this region. Yeah,
I think so. I think on paper for sure. I'm glad you mentioned that first Friendship South Lake Carroll score right now. Holden Phillips, I don't know if you guys know this, he's leading the state in passing, right? He has over 4,000 yards passing, one of the best quarterbacks, not just in West Texas, but I believe by far leading public school, UIL, in passing. I believe Sawyer Anderson from Parish Episcopal is the second place in the region, in the state right now. So they can sling the ball. So if it gets to a track meet with South Lake Carroll, as it's looking to be, they're more than capable of taking advantage. So they're probably a very interesting dark horse if they can pull this off. If they pull this off, cut the brakes, because all of a sudden the on-paper stuff goes out the window.
Completely out of it. All right, one more to go here as we move on to 6A Division 1, specifically up in Region 3 is where we will start. We take a look here at Fort Bend, Ridgepoint, and North Shore. The big game of the night. This is an insane region. You've got Katy, you've got North Shore, you've got once-ranked Houston Lamar, Fulshire, Atascocita. I mean, this is a region of doom in 6A Division 1.
This is crazy, and I'm so glad that we're able to spotlight Ridgepoint versus North Shore, because this is another one that's a regional final quality game, right? Austin Carlisle is one of the best playmakers you'll see in the entire state. I'll say this about North Shore. They've done well to key in on game-breaking players, right? The Atascocita game came down to Carde Mack doing something because Torrey Blaylock was kind of taken out of that game. It's going to come down to if somebody else can help Austin Carlisle. He's both the leading passer and rusher on that Ridgepoint team. We know what he can do, but he has playmakers. Can some of those guys bail him out of some situations, because North Shore's going to make it really, really tough. And of course, can that Ridgepoint defense make some plays, make Caleb Bailey uncomfortable, which I believe Ridgepoint has over 30 sacks on the year. So they're going to need all of that pass rush to make Caleb Bailey uncomfortable and get themselves into situations, because talent, Ridgepoint has the talent to match up with North Shore's talent, but it's just about depth. It's about everything else, the size, the trenches. Is that going to be enough? We'll see.
Well, and clearly when you get out of this grueling district, it can't get any harder, right? I mean, look at Region 4, and the only people that you're going to find residing in Region 4 are just the likes of Lake Travis and Westlake, and, no big deal, right? Those two have to be your favorite. At this point in the year, I think obviously all eyes go to right now. What you're looking at is Lake Travis and San Antonio Johnson, and you're looking at Westlake and San Antonio Brennan, and you're asking the forever long asked question, can a 2-1-0 team finally take down a member of the 5-1-2 team? Yeah. Can we see it done tonight, specifically in that Lake Travis and San Antonio Johnson game? It's
going to be tough. Of course, historically, the answer's been no, right? Even when the best Judson teams ran up against a Lake Travis team, it just hadn't been done. Johnson has been playing with adversity all year, right? Of course, they lose Ty Hawkins before the season starts. He goes to IMG. All of a sudden, they're putting a sophomore Elvis Estrada in at quarterback. They've done nothing but make the playoffs still, right? This is still a team that I believe, even with Ty Hawkins, I believe was a by-district team last year. They're already advanced past where they made it with their 4-star quarterback a year ago. Why not keep playing with house money? You've already proven a lot of people wrong. Keep doing that. People are counting you out. I don't see any issue with believing that this Johnson team can play above its ability and match up. They have D1 players at wide receiver in Jaden Perez and Bryson Thompson. They have the talent and skill in certain positions to match up with Lake Travis. It's just about doing it for 4 quarters.
And that's exactly what we're going to be doing, taking you through all 4 quarters of this night of Texas high school football. We'll be right back on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight as we dive into the Friday night action here in the area round of the 2024 Texas high school football playoffs.
It's all about kids here first. And our school is really a melting pot, and our faculty and staff really reflects that. I think that's what makes us unique and pretty special here in Frisco. Miss Livingston is nonstop. All of these things go on, and for all the people that participate, really probably don't know who that person is. So you have to be completely selfless, and Miss Livingston is. You have to be really excited about where you work and really love the place where you work, and she does. And be very passionate. And you have to love kids and love your coworkers and love this community. And that's what she does every week.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Texas Army National Guard are honored to present the Coach of the Week Award, celebrating one head coach in 7 different classifications. That's 6A all the way down to 6-man, and of course, private school every single week. Think your head coach deserves some recognition? Nominate them under our weekly Twitter and Facebook post. Those will come out Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 8:30 p.m., and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. That's facebook.com/Dave Campbell's or at DCTF on Twitter. Thank you to Texas Army National Guard for helping spotlight the hard work and dedication of high school head coaches across Texas.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Ozarka will announce 7 Team of the Week winners for 14 weeks of the Texas high school football season from Class 6A down to 6-man, and including private schools. Head to TexasFootball.com, go to the Awards tab, and find Ozarka Team of the Week to see this season's winners and vote for your program to be named. Winners are announced every Wednesday on Twitter and Facebook.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Panini America are teaming up this season to honor the best high school quarterbacks across the state of Texas. 7 quarterbacks, 1 in each classification, 1A through 6A and private schools, will be named Quarterback of the Week and will receive a virtual Panini America trading card to commemorate their performance. Check out which outstanding quarterback was selected each Tuesday morning on the Dave Campbell's Twitter and Facebook pages.
Your power is unstoppable. And with us cheering you on, there's no limit to where it can take you. Baylor Scott and White Health, the power to live better.
The soul of our community is best as a standard, and everybody embraces that when they step on Summer Creek High School campus.
Everyone's really proud to be part of this community. From the top, from the leadership, from our principal to our coaches, our teachers. So we want to make sure that we're always giving it our best. That's what I strive to do.
It's Dave Campbell's Texas football tonight, and we are hyped up in the studio for the area round of the Texas high school football playoffs. So hyped that we want to tell you to go to TexanLive.com/subscribe. You can go ahead and scan this QR code on your screen, and I'm telling you right now, do not allow another Friday night to pass with so many area round matchups happening, and you're not subscribed to Dave Campbell's Texan Live. Man, we've got games going on all across the state for all of the weeks of the playoffs leading up to the illustrious state championships. There at AT&T Stadium, you can go to TexanLive.com/subscribe by clicking or scanning rather that QR code.
Yeah, this is the month to do it. This is the week to do it. Because, of course, you don't want to be the one to miss out on any of the slate we have here or any of the coverage. Because, by the way, this, of course, gets you all our beautiful playoff coverage on TexasFootball.com. Oh, look at that.
It's time for the Quad Box.
Lego.
As we check in here with La Vega and West Orange Stark, Ridgepoint and North Shore, Willis and Tomball and Lake Travis and Johnson. Ishmael, what is catching your eye?
How about 30-6 North Shore over Ridgepoint right now? People, this is a D1 quarterback, D1 Power 5, I should say, Power 5 quarterback, Power 5 receivers for Ridgepoint that they are holding to 6 points right now. This might be one of their most impressive games. North Shore's impressive starts to a game. I know we say that seemingly every week because they've seemingly upped their game as the season's gone along. But this was one of my most hyped games of this week because I wanted to see what happens when, one, I think Ridgepoint by far obviously plays their biggest test of the year. But what happens when North Shore plays a quarterback like Austin Carlisle? We saw Carde Mack, another dual threat quarterback, kind of have, be able to do some things when they played at Tascasita. But so far, so good. As we see, Ridgepoint's probably going to need some points on this next ensuing drive as North Shore punts back to them.
Yeah, this is a team that took an early loss to Fulshire, which obviously is a great team there in Coach Kaduni's squad, but Ridgepoint was no one to just kind of mull over by any stretch. I mean, they really have looked incredible this year so far, and to be down this much is very, very shocking. But I mean, yes, is their district very tough there in 21-6-8? No, not necessarily. But this is worse than I thought it was going to be early on. I think another one here catching my eye is Willis and Tomball. This feels right.
Yes.
Willis with a slight lead over Tomball just by a score, but a competitive game. And these are two teams that have been battle tested.
Yes.
Unlike what we've really talked about kind of with that Ridgepoint team, these are two teams that have not shied down from competition, specifically Willis.
Yes, 100%. And I think Willis is now at an interesting point in the year where they've kind of played the whole season with like a chip on their shoulder, right? Of course, when our first rankings came out, they weren't in them. And so it was like, oh, okay. People think we were just DJ Lagway and friends, right? So they played this whole year kind of like, guys, we're so much better. Now they're in a spot where, hey, nobody's looking past Willis anymore, right? They're having to play now as the favorite, as the, as the people that with the target on their back, right? And now Tomball is kind of playing with the underdog where it's like, okay, everybody's talking about Willis now. I think their only loss is to Klein Kane this year, but this is still a very sound Willis team, of Tomball team. That I think is right. They're about to punch this potentially in the red zone and tie it. Willis cannot be caught off guard here. Of course, Jack Emerson and Jermaine Bishop have been incredible offensively. So if it gets to a shootout, we'll see. But I think, like you mentioned so far, this is where Tomball wants to be. Still well within this reach, kind of controlling the tempo here, going very, very methodical. As we see a low block there, a big stop for the Willis defense just outside the red zone. Looks like he might have been just inside the red zone, excuse me.
All right, so this one continuing on here in the greater Houston area. Why don't we go ahead and talk about College Station taking on Lufkin, a cross-regional matchup here as we bring on our very own Evan Schubert. Evan, great to see you, my friend. College Station with a pretty commanding lead to kick off this game. What have you noticed that's working well for the Cougars so far?
Well, they've been able to get it really any way that they want through the passing game. I mean, their quarterback, Cade Porkerin, excellent through the air, 2 touchdowns to his big tight end, Jackson Verdugo, and then Aiden Martinez-Brown, number 1, the all-around athlete, been in the backfield, getting the job done, 48-yard rushing touchdown. He's got 2 this half, as well as in the air, a couple of receptions as well. Big play threat there.
How were you surprised where you buy this College Station defense in particular? Because I thought that would be where Lufkin kind of neutralizes the game with their offense a little bit against College Station defense, but it seems like it's been completely the opposite with College Station controlling every aspect of this game so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this College Station defense has been fantastic ever since the first drive. The first drive, they let up an 81-yard touchdown on a big shot on a post. But after that, they settled in. They've been getting good, consistent pressure, playing good coverage on the outside, and just making their tackles.
And Evan, I do want to ask you, because when you take a look at this Lufkin team, all eyes typically go to the defensive line with the likes of Zion Williams, Elijah Alexander. Those are some big nasties up front. What do you think needs to change going up against this crazy rushing attack from Aiden Martinez-Brown? Do they just look discombobulated, or what have you seen from that side?
Yeah, it's just been absolute dominance from the offensive line in the trenches. I mean, Zion Williamson, 4-star guy, LSU commit, been very, very quiet here tonight. They're going to have to find a way to generate some pressure, maybe bring some off-ball backers on some blitzes, try to just plug up the middle, but been very unsuccessful so far.
Evan, great to have you on. As always, enjoy the second half of this one. Let's see if Lufkin can figure it out, and I think that's what it is. I don't think that we've given enough credit to College Station's offensive line. I think that they have truly looked incredible. It's so easy to focus on the quarterback. It's so easy to focus on Aiden Martinez-Brown, but you don't realize how much work, and I know that sounds generic. You don't realize how much work those two guys allow those two to really thrive in those situations.
I was about to say, like you mentioned the defensive line for Lufkin. This is a D1 Power 5 caliber defensive line in some spots, and they're kind of being taken out of the game now, right? And now they're being forced to press a little more, right, on defense because College Station's been able, to get out to this huge lead. Again, this is not the game I expected. I expected if it was going to be a blowout, it would be 17-3, right? 17-0.
First one to 21 is absolutely winning.
Exactly. But no, College Station's been able, like you mentioned, because of that offensive line, been able to control and just play the game they've played all year. They're very impressive.
All right, so there we go. Just checking in at halftime. We'll continue to do that throughout the night, but some first half highlights coming from across the state. We take you down to the Houston area again. This one, Lamar taking on the aforementioned Fulshire Chargers on Lamar's first drive of the game. It's running back Larry Sanders on the screen pass. He's going to juke all of those defenders to get the first touchdown. Very next drive, Fulshire running back Patrick Broadway. He says, turn on the bright lights. We're taking this one all the way home. No one can catch him. Then Fulshire took the 2-point conversion and converted there. Whoa, how about that? Easy money there for the Chargers. Then it's Lamar. Trick play at the goal line, fake run, and actually this one, how about this guy? It's Mike Brown, who just takes it all the way down to the 20. Right after that, they're going to keep it going. Look at the lettuce on that. This one, a back and forth all out brawl. Who is going to be able to go on this one? And it is Lamar, the wild-haired man, just goes ahead and prances on into the end zone.
Lake Highlands versus Campbell. Of course, the Cowboys in a dogfight here. This one's going to be Harrison Day for Lake Highlands throws it right there to Franklin, who's going to punch it in for Lake Highlands. But of course, Omari Mbakwe is going to go and score right here to tie it up for the Cowboys. By the way, look at the Cowboys rocking the white lids today. As we see, there's that boy EG3, Edward Griffin, to Uche Edimwengu, who's going to score a touchdown and put the Campbell Cowboys up, give their first lead of the game. So early lead for Campbell, but a little test there from Lake Highlands so far.
You know how nice it was to mention Campbell and not have Tepper here going,
hey,
Cowboy fight never dies. Yeah. All due respect to our friends at Campbell, we very much enjoy y'all. We just don't enjoy Tepper.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. It's a great last show. Let's just say that.
As we check in now, back to the Quad Boxes area round matchups continue in this one. A game that we haven't talked much about. Let's go back up to those the game in the top right corner there. Fort Bend Marshall down to Bastrop right now in a Bastrop team-ish that I just absolutely love.
Yes, this is a big breakout year. By the way, I had some numbers, early numbers on this one. It's probably different now, but at one point, Weston Nielsen, quarterback for Bastrop, the sophomore 4-star, was 8 of 9 for over 100 yards. So he was absolutely dialed in very early against, by the way, again, a Fort Bend Marshall team with tons of athletes, as we know Coach Williams has with his Buffaloes every single year. But this is a massive, massive test because, again, we talked about Bastrop. They've beaten teams around the Austin area. Obviously, that's their district. That's the kind of teams they play. But we have not seen them really get pressed against other area teams, against teams from Houston, as we're seeing now. Oh, my goodness. That, I think he got that in. He did. What a throw.
And that is exactly how, under Coach Williams, Fort Bend Marshall is always able to attack you. Their notorious habit of having absolute playmakers on the outside that can distort you in any way. When Fort Bend Marshall is a team that can beat you in the playoffs, it is always reliant upon the speed on the outside, and you see it working against a Bastrop team that likes to make you try and run the ball.
100%, and that was Jordan Simmons, sophomore quarterback there. Sophomore wide receiver from quarterback Caden Johnson on the throw and catch there. As see Jacaden Ferguson, or excuse me, that's Keyshawn. No, excuse me, I'm getting my numbers mixed up. No, that is Jacaden Ferguson. Number 4, they're celebrating. I mean, look, that is that is a team you mentioned that has playmakers every single year. So we know Weston Nielsen can make plays. We know the senior skill position talent can make plays. Guys like Keyshawn Moore, guys like Ramon Adams. But what happens when this defense, as you mentioned, is asked to press a little bit because, hey, they're not maybe getting the stops that they need, and they're kind of getting into more of a spread out game against a team that's probably a little bit faster than them.
Well, and I was interested to see what they did against Marshall, primarily in the defensive back position, because we saw them take on a team in the likes of Liberty Hill, who is going to absolutely run it down your throat up the middle.
Yes.
Okay, if you don't know, Liberty Hill runs the slot T, and they were able to beat Liberty Hill to take the District 11-5A Division II state or district championship.
Yes.
They would love to take the state championship. Got a few more games to go before they get there, but their defensive line is incredible. Are they able to match in the defensive back position? If they can get those guys going, this is a Bastrop team that could go on to win this region.
Yep. Looks like Tombo had to settle for 3 on that one drive, which is a big stop for Willis here. Big stop for Willis, who was, again, giving up potentially a scoring drive, a tying drive, I should say. Big stop for the Willis defense to kind of hold them to 3 there.
All right, so these games continue on, and we continue on by bringing in one of our favorites. It's our very own Texas High School football insider, Mr. Matthew Stepp, down there for Lubbock Cooper and Prosper Walnut Grove. And how about that? Coach Chip Darden's squad taking the early lead. Stepp, what is working for the Pirates so far?
I think the key has been red zone defense for Lubbock Cooper. They've had 2 red zone stops against Walnut Grove in forcing field goals. And Lubbock Cooper's offense, Michael Deaver, the Texas Tech commit, has a long touchdown catch. But the key sequence in this game, leading 14-13 late in the first half, Lubbock Cooper quarterback Ryan Rodriguez goes down with an injury. Backup linebacker turned backup quarterback Caden Brown comes in at 6 foot, 225 pounds. On his first pass, hits a 62-yard pass down to the 2-yard line. On the last play of the first half, he scores on a 1-yard touchdown run to give Lubbock Cooper a 21-13 lead at the half against upstart Walnut Grove.
Yeah, you mentioned Walnut Grove being an upstart. This is their first playoff run. You know, is this your first time seeing them this season? And 2, what have you seen from them in their second playoff game ever?
Yes, this is my first time seeing him in person. I've watched a little bit of their games online. Definitely an up-tempo offense. Tommy Allison, the head coach, who's won a state championship back in his days at Cayuga, runs basically a NASCAR offense, and they try to run as many plays as they can, led by a freshman. That's right, a freshman quarterback, Hayes Hackney, who distributes the ball well, makes good decisions. They've got a junior running back in Cam Newton, who they like to go to. He had 40-plus carries last week in their win over Seguin. So it's tempo when you're talking about Walnut Grove, and you can see why they put up some of the offensive numbers they put up this year.
Stepp, one last question before I let you go here. You're out there at Shotwell Stadium out in Abilene. How are our friends out there in Abilene treating you? What's been on the menu for today? I mean, you're our local food guy. We just ate dinner, so we're wanting to know what you ate.
So Shotwell Stadium in the old press box was known for having the best Frito pie in Texas. Since they built this new palace of a press box, they have gotten rid of the Frito pie, which is very disappointing for me because it's a chilly night and nothing would hit like a nice Frito pie. But they have taken good care of the media. We had burgers and chips and drinks, Coke products here. So we're good to go. Well taken care of. Coach Garfield, the athletic director, and the staff here at Abilene ISD is great.
Okay, well, we'll pour one out there for the lack of Frito pie, but tell all our friends out there in Abilene that we say hello, and there is nothing like a Matt Stepp report about a Frito pie. This is what you get on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, folks. It doesn't get better than this.
Yep. Look, see, we're losing traditions, folks. We're losing the old Shotwell. We're losing the Frito pie. Come on now, it's a chilly night. Come on, we got to bring some traditions back. Hopefully we'll get that started back.
Maybe we can find a Frito pie after the show in honor of Matt Stepp. If you know of any good Frito pies in the Denton area, let us know. All right, we're continuing on here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. The party just keeps on going. We're going to take a quick breather, and we'll be back right after the break. Want to talk Texas high school football with your two favorite dorks? Join television's Greg Tepper and Ashley Gizmo Pickle every Monday and Thursday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Texas Football Today, the flagship program of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. It's the same analysis, insight, review, and preview that you've come to know and love. Talking about Texas high school football and college football all across the Lone Star State.
In a college football world that's increasingly nationalized, Dave Campbell's Texas Football presents the Republic of Football, the only comprehensive podcast on all 13 college teams in Texas. Live every Tuesday at noon on the Dave Campbell's YouTube page, Twitter, Facebook pages, and publishing on Apple Podcasts and Spotify shortly thereafter. Host Ishmael Johnson leads the gang in discussing the biggest college football stories from the state. You get coverage of the SEC, Big 12, ACC, AAC, CUSA, and Sunbelt, but with a little Texas twist. No one has their finger on the pulse like senior college writer MC Mike Craven, staff writer Carter Yates, and everyone's favorite Malpal producer Mallory Hartley. Come spend your lunch break, your car ride, or gym session with the Republic of Football. Live on Tuesdays at noon at TexasFootball.com and published everywhere you get your podcast shortly thereafter.
Are you ready to kick off your Wednesdays with a fresh, fun, and fearless take on football? Tune in to Women Talking Football, hosted by the dynamic duo of Dave Campbell's Texan Live, Ashley Pickle, and Mallory Hartley. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m., join us on TexasFootball.com as we deep dive into every corner of the Lone Star State's football scene. From exclusive insights with coaches' wives to on-the-ground reports from across Texas, we've got the inside scoop you won't get anywhere else. Get ready for a game-changing experience where the ladies bring their A-game and you might just find yourself saying WTF in the best way possible. Women Talking Football, where sports analysis meets sass and expertise. You can't miss it.
Want to go deep on Texas high school football? Check out Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Each week, Greg Tepper and Matt Stepp take you inside Texas high school football like nobody else, breaking down the biggest games and the biggest storylines from all across the state. Want to know more about Texas high school football than the guy at your water cooler? Go to TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber so you can get Tep and Step in your podcast feed. Or tune in every Friday at noon at TexasFootball.com for premium insights from Texas high school football experts Matt Stepp and Greg Tepper.
Welcome back to Texas Football Tonight. Remember, TexanLive.com or TexasFootball.com/subscribe if you want to hear us shut up.
Yeah, do it.
Especially Ashley Pickle. I'm Ishmael Johnson, by the way. You can stick if you want to watch me. But we have some scores from what I...
I'm like a punching bag.
If I understand correctly, we have some 1A scores from around the state. If we can flash those up on the screen right now. There it is. What? Why are you looking at me all weird?
Because that's Follett. Panther Hive roll out, took the dominating 52-24 win over Sands last night. All due respect to Sands, but I know our producer Mallory Hartley, one of the biggest Follett fans you're ever going to find.
I was not, look, I'm not joking when I say we're at Alvarado, Frisco Panther Creek, and if you saw the start of this show, how incredible that game was. We had Ashley Pickle And Mallory Hartley checking the score of the Follett game. While there's glorious stars in the making in front of us, and they're checking Follett and Sands,
Loyal
making
and
sure
devoted.
that Follett comes out with the win, which of course they did, 52-24.
Loyal and devoted. Dalton Grafferty and his Klondike squad taking a big lead there over Motley County. That one is pretty surprising there. Benjamin having no problem with Lorraine. Another state-ranked matchup that's quite enticing. Jayton, the Jaybirds, not having any problem with Blackwell. Strawn down to Iredell. Keep your eye on that one. And then how about Oglesby? 92-54 over a very good Cherokee squad. Jeb Dixon has his Tigers absolutely rolling. You can scan that QR code at the top. It'll take you to texasfootball.com/scores. We matriculate on now to 1A Division I. Whiteface having their way over Booker. How about that? The Happy Cowboys currently down to Borden County. That one that we had our eyes on here in the highest six-man classification. Westbrook over Newcastle. Abbott, the Panthers taking on St. Joe. Another gruesome matchup there, but the Panthers holding strong. Gordon over Menard, that one happening last night. And then Jonesboro, no issues there, 50 points over Medina. So there we go. That is 1A Division I. We move on now to 2A Division II. Ishmael, we get up into our 11-man ranks. Groover, many favorites out of Region 1 there, 28-7 over Ira Ann.
Yeah, Wink 21-0 over Stratford right now. Collinsville and Wellington locked in a pretty big dogfight there. Bremond over Lovelady. I believe Stepp is pretty high on Lovelady
yes,
so far.
Very high on Lovelady.
Yeah, he might have them coming out of that region. So down 12-0 to Bremond right now. Wortham over Mount Enterprise 22-20. Junction right now in a dogfight with Falls City 14-13. Let's go to 2A D1. Sunray and Holly. There's a massive, massive game up there in West Texas right now. Sunray, our boy Armando Luan. By the way, all-time Texas leader, Texas high school leader in passing yards, potentially on the brink of being broken by Armando Luan tonight. We'll have to see the numbers in that game, but they're holding a strong 7-0 right now. Frankston and Hamilton tied at 14. Wascom over Garrison right now, 7-0. A very good Wascom team. I believe Tepper has them as his regional champion. Shelbyville over Beckville, very, very talented Shelbyville squad. Marlin and Schulenburg tied in a tough one right now. And then Refugio doing Refugio things in the playoffs and blowing out Thorndale right now, 44-7.
So some scores across the state, texasfootball.com/scores with scores of every single Texas high school football game happening in the area, around 176 games to be exact, cut down from 352 last week. Another game happening in 6A Division II would be the likes of Lancaster and Longview, and our very own Carter Yates is out live on site. Carter, welcome on to Texas Football Tonight. Always good to have you, bud. Lancaster looks like they're doing that thing again. The 5-6 team on the year is suddenly awakened in the playoffs. What are you seeing from Coach Leon Paul's squad?
Well, right now, Longview's offense just can't get anything going because the linebackers, like, I'm looking right here, DeCarian Johnson and Cabrian Winston, have done such a good job of stopping that rushing attack with Kelvin Boosie Washington. And right now, you see that Longview has a sophomore quarterback in, and the sophomore Johnny Williams is really learning on the fly. He started off really slow, but then had a nice touchdown pass to Buster Mumphrey. But the play of the night was Cabrian Winston had a tip pass, turned interception, turned pick six, that now puts Lancaster up 21-7.
Carter, this Longview team was seemingly a team that shook off its early loss to South Oak Cliff and seemingly righted the ship. Is it just been just some errors and Lancaster kind of hitting its peak, or what exactly has been the difference? And what do you think Longview has to do to kind of get back into this game?
Well, Longview started off with 10 men on the field, gave up a touchdown, then went 3 and out, then gave up another touchdown, and then muffed an onside kick. So they just came out really slow and not looked ready to play. It got better towards the end of the first half, but that Cabrian Winston pick six totally flipped momentum. And the Longview team, the coach has done a really good job of keeping their guys focused and calm. There's no panic on that side, so I'm gearing up for a good second half.
He's always geared up for something. This time for a second half. Bray, enjoy the rest of this game. We look forward to seeing Carter Yates. We'll hear the final there from Longview and Lancaster. Always a great one. All right, partner, we've got plenty more highlights from across the state. Let's get on into them. We take you down to the greater Houston area. Manville taking on Summer Creek in an absolute dogfight. Excited to see this one. Summer Creek's going to start off here. Quarterback Blake Thomas, pressure in the pocket, able to make his way out of it, and it is a race by the quarterback himself to the pylon, and he gets it in. Summer Creek goes up early. Summer Creek gets a stop, and it's Blake Thomas again, this time showing off his arm, and he gets a man on a wild catch. It's Trey Brown that comes down with it. Blake Thomas, he does that thing, right? He hands it off to Keyshawn Jackson, who will finish with a 14-yard run up the middle. It is all Bulldogs. Blake Thomas throws it perfectly to Benny Easter Jr. They can just score on every single way, turning into a blowout there as Blake Thomas just continues to show that this Summer Creek team is not just defense.
Yeah, I mean, Blake Thomas has been such a revelation for them this year, post Lloyd Avant era, and he's been. Again, they had a tough game against North Shore, but they've shaken that off, and now against a pretty good Manville team, just making no doubt that they are the better team. So an impressive game so far from the Bulldogs.
All right, we continue on here with Dave Campbell's Texas football tonight, and there's no better way to spend our time than with the quad box.
Let's get back to it.
Check back in. Look at the state of Texas there, walking off of Willis and Tomball.
Hey,
shout
look
out to
at
the
that.
bands.
Yeah, exactly.
Because those are kids that are out there in August practicing in the crazy heat, just like the football team. They do competition season, and then here they are late in the playoffs. They will go all the way to AT&T Stadium if their teams can make it. So big shout out to the bands real fast.
100%, as we're seeing now, Lufkin and C-Stat still very much that game pretty much very much controlled by College Station so far. For Ben Marshall, of course, on the other one locked in with Bastrop, excuse me. But yeah, this C-Stat game so far going completely the way of the Cougars, as we're seeing Lufkin trying to generate something. Again, we talked about the way the College Station's controlled the trenches, which has not been my expectation based off the talent we know that the Pack have.
I just don't think that Lufkin has necessarily faced a team as dynamic in every phase of the offensive side of the ball as they have here. I think that you can say what you will about Barbers Hill, Port Arthur Memorial, Galveston Ball, Beaumont United, Westbrook even. I mean, these are all really good teams. District 9 5A Division 1 was a juggernaut all the way through. It came down to the wire on who was even going to win that one, with 3 teams tying at 4-2 in district play, and then obviously Lufkin coming out on top. But this College Station offense is just too much.
Yeah, it's been too much. And you look at the way that Lufkin's won most of their games this year, and it's with controlling basically the game in terms of physicality, right? Even the game they lost to Longview was just 7-3, right? Everything else, 29-3 over Westbrook. The one game that they did let up some scores, then one was Tyler, 39-27. But everything else, 42-7, 63-14, right? These are low-scoring games defensively that they've been able to hold these other teams to. And College Station's just been there blow for blow with them. Of course, coming from a tough district themselves. And of course, that A&M consolidated game, they're always pushed every single year in their own city by their rival. That, when they're playing a team like Lufkin, where it's like, we're ready to punch some people in the face. They're ready to go too. This College Station team has played and beaten Pflugerville Weiss, right? Crosby. These are teams that are very, very good and probably would stack up with some of the best teams Lufkin's seen this year. As we're seeing a low pass, I think he might have gotten he just may get the first down here.
Yeah, they're going to go on and play the winner of that Angleton and Port Arthur Memorial game. That one happening tonight, and that's going to be one that I'm absolutely going to want to keep my eye on, because obviously College Station with a handy lead right now as we check in there with that game. So Angleton currently up 17-7, and this is an Angleton team. If you go back to week 11, we were talking about how Pflugerville Weiss lost that last game, was forced to go and head down all the way to Angleton in the by-district round. First off, not an easy road trip. 2, not a team that you necessarily want to play because they do things like that.
Yep, they are a very, very skilled team every single year, as we see if I can get a number on that. I think it's number 5. Looks like it's number 5 there. Let me see if I can get the name. That is
Jamarcus Shockley. He has been incredible this year, averaging 105 yards per game on the year out of 12 games, 14 total touchdowns on the year. 14 total touchdowns on the year, and just he's been incredible for this Angleton team. And it's not just him too. This is an Angleton team that has no problem on the defensive side of the ball. The most points they've given up all year long was 35 in their loss to LaPorte. But
it's a blocked extra point there.
Whew.
Maybe a offsides though, because the ref threw a pretty quick flag. We'll see. You might as well return it. See if you can get two.
I was going to say, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing there.
Yeah. But looks like we'll see what the flag was. I believe that might have been offsides, maybe an early jump there. But you mentioned, Angleton's a team that I feel like we haven't talked a lot about. Of course, they're probably one of the better 10-1 teams in the state, right? Of course, their only loss was to LaPorte, who's also a really good team, ended up winning that district, finished 7-0. They finished 8-3 overall in the year. But Angleton was right there in the mix as one of the best teams in the state, probably one of the best unranked teams in the state. Looks like that penalty's gonna be declined, so it must have been on. It's all the same. And then as you see, Lufkin and College Station, of course, this is a full Region 3 breakdown. As you see a little picture-in-picture there. But this Angleton team, like I mentioned, is one of the more unsung teams in the state, particularly defensively, right? Last week against Pflugerville-Weiss, which of course, we know Pflugerville-Weiss, Adrian Wilson, Colorado commit, stellar player. They have skill, talent. That was the most points they gave up all year in 28, which is incredible. So as we see Lancaster and Longview here, 21-7, Longview needs to get things going because as much as we love John King, he's not necessarily known for high-flying offense that gets the tempo going.
No, not at all. And that's the thing is, what do you do when you're starting to play from behind? You
with a sophomore quarterback as well.
Exactly. You take a look at 6A Division II, Region 2, and it is a gauntlet.
Yeah.
You do not want to be playing behind from any of these. The winner of this one going to go on and play the winner of College Park after a shocking upset of Spring Westfield last week, a 4-1. But College Park taking on Klein Collins. The winner will go on to play this. And then the top part of the bracket, Wiley East DeSoto playing tonight. And then Willis and Tomball. We talked about that game earlier. This is a grueling region.
Yeah, as you see there, Fort Bend Marshall and Bastrop there at the bottom left. This one's going to be a shocking result, a shocking score if Fort Bend Marshall can put it in the end zone here. Potentially 28-10 over a Bastrop team that I pegged as, I think their resume spoke for itself as far as like a regional, not only regional, but a dark horse state contender. I think a little potentially shell-shocked right now. This is the Bastrop team that's not necessarily used to being perfectly as we cut to commercials right when we start talking about that game. But that's not a team that's used to being in that spot versus a team that's very used to being in that spot in Fort Bend Marshall. As we see Lancaster trying to move the pile. I will say this. A lot of talk happened around the Lancaster program when Chris Gilbert originally left, right? Everybody was like, what's that program going to be? How much of that program was Chris Gilbert when he went to Texas, now at North Texas? Or no, I believe he's back at Texas.
He's back at Texas. He went Texas, North Texas, now he's back at Texas.
Right.
Snip, snap, snip, snap.
Yeah. Leon Paul's taken that, and I think he's taken that outside talk and used that to fuel his players.
I think he fuels them in the playoffs.
100% fuels them in the playoffs.
They've got a losing record right now.
Yes, and they can say, hey guys, no one expects us to be here. Everybody's saying we're not good enough. Let's use that. And as we're seeing, like, I was there when this exact game happened, I believe it was 2 years ago when they played Longview at the regular season, and they barely lost, but that was Jalen Hale, five-star quarterback for Longview, and I believe Taylor Tatum, absolutely at their peak, and Lancaster hung in there right till the very end. So this is a team that punches above its weight, punches above its record, literally, and as we're seeing now, completely taking it to Longview right now, trying to go potentially 3 scores.
That would be a wild one. It's a much-needed sack there for Longview. All right, the Lobos defense going to continue to try and take this one. Let's take a quick pause from this one and head on out to some 3A scores across the state. We start off with 3A Division II. Canadian, they're doing that thing where they're figuring it out. As let me tell you, it was not pretty to start off the year, and all of a sudden, they're really starting to come to life. Gunner, I think the consensus favorite out of 3A Division II, up on a very good Wichita Falls City View team. Okay, this one was a big one. If they can really take Wichita Falls City View and run past them, keep your eye on Gunner. And then Woodville up on Grand Saline. That one a little bit
That
surprising.
one's interesting, yeah, for sure. Looking at Edgewood down right now 30-21 against Newton. Newton, a team that we're also looking at as a potential state contender. Tidehaven trying to get back to Arlington, up 28-7 over Dilley. Poth, I think this is literally the game I expected between both these two teams, East Bernard and Poth. 12-0 right now, but that Poth Pirate defense keeping them in this game. Of course, that is the most on-brand score for those two teams.
Yes, and we have been so excited to see how this game shakes out.
Yes,
I mean, those are two of the top teams in 3A Division II, and to see this low-scoring affair, no surprise there. You can scan that QR code, takes you to texasfootball.com/scores. As we move on now to 3A Division I, Shallowater up on Peaster, Bushland and Paradise. This one a fun one out west, all knotted up at 7-ish. Columbus up 34-7 over Palestine Westwood. Do you want to talk about Matt Schobel pounding his chest and saying, no, we're coming, and not just for you, Palestine Westwood, we're coming for this entire region.
We're coming for this entire region. Kavian Bryant, of course, one of the top prospects in the class 2026, I believe 2026. Completely looks like he's being completely neutralized, or at least Adam Schobel and Grayson Rigdon say, hey, we can run too, man. Yeah. We can. You want to get in a track meet? Let's go. I believe Tegan Hitchcock is tomorrow, I believe. The game has not started. There's no score from that game yet. No updates. Llano.
Stingham.
There you go. 13-0 over Orange Grove. And then, of course,
the
UC
Rohawks.
Randolph, the Rohawks, the beautiful, beautiful Rocket Hawks, beating Rio Hondo 33-10. I would do a whole segment on the Rohawk.
Yeah, I don't think people really understand that it's literally it's a hawk and a rocket. That's exactly what that means.
It's so dope.
That's what you can get here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. Fun facts about mascots. The other thing that you can get is highlights from across the state as we dive back in to a ton of these highlights. We start off with Conroe and Bridgeland down there in the Houston area. We're going to start off with, this is Bridgeland trying to go maximum Bears here, and that'll be a good start. Field goal right up the middle. Bridgeland goes up 3-0. Then on the other side of the ball, Conroe just absolutely letting it rip. Cameron Noley with a bomb to Jalen Mayron for a touchdown to put the Tigers up 7-3. Then Bridgeland, another shot here. Jet Lewis throws a quick call to Caden Hines for the touchdown. 10-7 Bridgeland.
Fort Bend Elkins and Kingwood. This is going to be quarterback Holland Hargrave. Going to throw it right to a beautiful catch, and held on to it is Benjamin Chataway as Kingwood goes up early. Fort Bend Elkins able to get a quick field goal here. It's going to put them on the board 6-3, low scoring game so far. But Hargrave again for Kingwood. He's going to take it himself here. Let's see the quarterback power. Look at this blocking, physical blocking there from Kingwood to put them up 13-3 on Fort Bend Elkins. And again, this is going to be Kingwood. Marquez Davis up the middle right there. Smooth sail into the end zone. But, of course, Fort Bend Elkins not going to go away. Tyson Kraft's going to take this one. Good blocking there. Sealing the edges. Goes untouched to get them back on the board.
Up to the DFW we go. It's the Denton Geyer Wildcats taking on J.J. Pierce. Wildcats first off from Kevin Sperry over to Seniors Gray. Looks like he was going to get it, but no, the ball is out, and it's J.J. Pierce who recovers it on the end zone. So they wouldn't really do anything with that, unfortunately, there for J.J. Pierce. But Kevin Sperry said, don't worry, we'll get this done. He goes back to Gray, and it is 7-0 Geyer. Then Geyer again there at South Lake Carroll Dragon Stadium. He is going to grab the snap, hand it off to Caden Cobbs, and he will take it all the way. That score would put Geyer up 14-0. And remember that name, because here he goes again, right up the middle. Cobbs in for his second touchdown of the day, 21-0. Then J.J. Pierce trying to get something going here, and they were able to do just that. Trent Hawley for an easy touchdown. They missed the extra point there, so Geyer now up 21-6. It is a screen pass, but it's picked off. It's a pick. Jeremiah Lyons. He's going to turn on the turbos. His teammates are pointing at the end zone, and that's exactly where he'll end up. J.J. Pierce able to get that one done. Exciting stuff happening all across the state and especially down there in the Houston area. We head out now to our guy Chris Elliott on the call for North Shore and Ridge Point. Chris, this one, we're at 30-13. It looked like North Shore was just completely running away with it, but maybe a little bit of fight being shown from Ridge Point in the latter half of the first half.
Yeah, Ashley, great to be with y'all. Yeah, great matchup here. Number 2, Dave Campbell's Texas football ranked. North Shore, the perennial power. Number 13, Ridge Point. Both teams come in red hot. A couple dozen D1 commits on the field. Yeah, North Shore's teamed out. They just look like the bigger, better, faster team. 30-0. Scored touchdowns on their first 4. First safety on Ridge Point's first possession, but a late first half rally. Their defense, the Panthers defense, got a couple stops. They got an INT right after Ridge Point fumbled, and they rallied for 13 late first half points to stay within shouting distance. I noted that they kicked the extra point on that second touchdown, and it's still a 3-score North Shore lead, but still plenty of clock time left. 2 talented teams, an exciting first half so far, and more to come in the second half in this big-time matchup.
Yeah, how has North Shore dealt with Austin Carlisle and Dane Jones? Because you look at 2 of the best skill position players. I know they've played Atascocita, they've played Summer Creek, but even with that, 2 of the best skill position players they've seen this season. What have they done so far to kind of keep them in check?
Well, first of all, I've known Dane Jones and his family since Dane Jones is about 3 feet tall. His older brother and my son are the same age. At any rate, great family. He has been shut out in this first half, Dane Jones. Carlisle has looked better on the back end. That second quarter, he looked better. He's just not had a lot of time and very little separation on the back end with his receivers. And the other thing is the big play of the first half was a 59-yard run from Carlisle. Other than that, he's just been out-athleted on the other side. You're not going to be able to run around against North Shore that has size and speed that they do, like Carlisle has done for most of this season. But again, the late rally is kind of what kept this Ridge Point team within shouting distance, if they are down 17.
He's Chris Elliott. He's always down to join the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight party. Chris, appreciate you hopping on as always, but enjoy the rest of that one. Ridge Point showing a little bit of life and not going down too much at half. That's about all you can ask for at this point. Yeah, 100%. I think, look, I'm asked about Austin Carlisle, but I think it's going to come down to that defense as well. They're going to need some stops, right? This is a team that I mentioned 30 sacks. They had 42 actually as a team, right? This Ridge Point defense. So this is going to result in them getting some stops on Caleb Bailey, getting some stops on DeAndre Hardiman, keeping Quanell Farrakhan in check. That sounds like such an easy task.
Right, so you just got to stop three Division I caliber players. It's fine.
That's it. That's all you got to do.
That's the hole that they're in now, right? Mm-hmm. And if you want to give Austin Carlisle, who's starting to show a little bit more as the first half came to a close, if you want to give him some chances, you got to give him a shrinking deficit to work with so he can then make those plays to Dane Jones, who, credit to North Shore, has kept him in check for sure. I'm assuming that they just told Devin Sanchez, hey, stick with that guy, and we'll take our chances anywhere else.
It's like going out there with one singular stick and being like, hey, start a whole bonfire, like easy doings. Well, we're going to keep starting our own bonfire here in this cold studio on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight, but the games are warming up, and that's all that matters. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this one.
I love Lake Travis. The soul of this community is supporting the kids. Coach Chalmers comes to school every single day with just an attitude of, how can I serve, how can I help these kids? Nobody works harder than her. She just has a heart to serve kids and to serve people.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football is proud to partner with Sport Tyler to award the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose National Player of the Week, which recognizes the top offensive player in Division I college football, who also exhibits the enduring characteristics that define Earl Campbell: integrity, performance, teamwork, sportsmanship, drive, community, and tenacity. It all leads up to the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, announced in January. Congratulations to this week's winner of the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose National Player of the Week. For more information, visit earlcampbellaward.com.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Higginbotham have teamed up to find the most driven team in Texas. This fall, 10 finalists will be highlighted throughout the season, with one student athlete from each team receiving the Most Driven Scholar Athlete Award for their leadership in the classroom, along with $1,000 in tuition assistance. In November, all 10 communities will rally to vote on TexasFootball.com, competing for the title of the most driven team in Texas. The school that rallies the most online votes will receive a $10,000 donation to their school, thanks to the support of Higginbotham. To learn more, visit TexasFootball.com/mostdriventeam.
Hey DFW residents, get your grocery essentials in minutes, not hours or days, with Wing Drone Delivery. Forget about last-minute trips to the store when you need things like cereal for breakfast before school, medicine for a cold, or snacks for a movie night. Wing's drones get you quick, no-contact delivery in as fast as 15 minutes. Say goodbye to last-minute grocery runs and say hello to more of your valuable time. Sign up today.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Wing have selected 64 high schools in DFW to take part in a head-to-head online bracket challenge, showing their school pride and community spirit during the 2024 Texas high school football season. The winner will receive a $5,000 donation back to their school. We're currently in the championship, ending November 29th, with the Arlington Colts facing off against the Byron Nelson Bobcats. For more information on the challenge, go to texasfootball.com/most-spirited-school-challenge.
Texas football tonight. Thank you for joining us in the area round. How about let's get back to some more highlights. Let's talk about Abilene and Aledo. Got some highlights from the first half in that game. Let's take a look at them now. It's a familiar name that we've been talking about all year. Racing Guillory is going to get the ball here. Up the middle, makes a move, makes a man miss, makes another man miss, up the middle, down to the left side. He's going to get in the end zone to put Aledo, to knot this one up, at 7. Spoiler alert, Racing Guillory again, running through the Abilene defense, rides down the sideline. That kid is special in a foot race, and he's going to get there to give Aledo their first lead of the game. But guess what? This is not going to be easy for the Bearcats, as we see. Oh, just kidding. It's going to be a pick 6 for Aledo right here. And okay, Aledo's doing the Bearcat thing where it turns to November and they just turn into the 85 Bears, as we see Finley down the field, 92 yards down the right side as he's going to go. Stiff arm takeout, 2 men. My goodness, all Aledo in this one, 28-7, as he stops to take a look at the defender saying, "You couldn't catch me, man. What's up with that?"
All right, time for more game action across the state. We take you back out to the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight quad box, checking in there on La Vega and West Orange Stark. How about this one? One we haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about. So this is 2 teams that it's always like, are they back or not? So we start with West Orange Stark. Obviously, legendary head coach Cornell Thompson leaves. They promote their defensive coordinator in Hiawatha Hickman. He takes over, and it's a little bumpy for the first couple of years. Well, I think I was ready to declare West Orange Stark back this year.
Yes.
They had an incredible showing. La Vega, on the other side of that, coached under legendary head coach John Hyde, has been a bit of a roller coaster this year. Very up at times. When they look good, they look good. And then there are times where it's like, wait, what just happened to that La Vega squad that we saw? But since about the 10th week of the season, they figured it out.
They really have. They're playing their brand of ball. Of course, Courtney Park, quarterback. Jaden Hernandez has played quarterback a little bit. I think that's been part of it, is maybe they haven't had their consistent quarterback. As you see a run here from West Orange Stark to get around past midfield. Remember, this is a rematch. We mentioned this is a rematch that West Orange Stark won 35-27 early in the year. I believe it was like week 2 or something. But the thing that I loved in that game that I was curious about, or the thing that I took away from that game, I should say, that I was curious about, is what happens when La Vega plays a team that matches their physicality, right? West Orange Stark, of course, is a team that also can play in the trenches, that loves to run the ball, that's very methodical, and they were able to take it to La Vega at that time La Vega, as you mentioned, a different team, better team than we saw at that point, as we see a massive catch there, big first down. West Orange Stark. I think the difference is West Orange Stark's a team that likes to open it up a little bit more. Waco La Vega loves to keep it on the ground. They'll run both quarterbacks. They'll run Bryson Rowland, has over 1,000 yards on the ground. West Orange Stark's a little bit more of a team that likes to spread it out just a little bit more. You mentioned 5-6 a year ago, 9-2 this year under Hiawatha Hickman, a massive turnaround for the Mustangs.
Yeah, they're kind of one of those, they look to equally distribute the ball. I think when you take a look at La Vega, it really has been Bryson Rowland that has just annihilated teams left and right, specifically when he really started to go on. I mean, he's averaging almost 110 yards per game on the ground. That's incredible. But West Orange Stark, in typical Hiawatha Hickman fashion, is like, no, we've got just, we don't necessarily have that guy, but we've got a bevy of guys that if we just keep confusing defenses by just doing our thing and spreading the ball around, we're good to go.
Yeah, Marcus Turner has been a lot of what they've done. The quarterback has been a lot of what they've done on offense. But I will say, I read a couple stories this year on West Orange Stark, and the consistent thing that Hiawatha Hickman mentioned is that this is like the best offensive line that he thinks he's had to work with.
They're huge.
And he's been there for a while, right? He's only been the head coach for 2 years, but he's been there for a while. And this is a massive offensive line, as we see there. And he says that's been the difference between not only this year and last year, but the past couple years.
Well, and I think another part of it is...
Let's see, look at that blocking there.
Yeah, wow. And that's exactly how they...
Perfectly sealed edge right there, and it freed up all he needed.
That's all it took. You saw the left tackle and the guard right there just completely hold down, not 2, but 3 or 4 of those interior offensive linemen there for La Vega. And I think that it's not necessarily just the fact that they're big. West Orange Stark is used to playing with a lot of big bodies.
Yeah.
These are some of the most athletic big bodies that they've had in a long time. If you notice how they play down there on the line, they're very quick. They're very agile, and that's something that a lot of times down there with some of those big old boys, you don't always get, you've got the size, but you don't necessarily get blessed with the agility, and that will pay big dividends when you've got a big old left tackle like that.
Yep, so this one is not over, as we clearly see. I was waiting for West Orange Stark to kind of wake up there. I should mention also Parr, the quarterback for La Vega, Courtney Parr, the brother of KP Parr, who was the MVP for the girls basketball team that won state the past 2 years. She's at Wichita State now, but athletic, very gifted family who has some gold in the family as well, with a back-to-back state champion as a sister. So he's trying to add a little bit to his trophy case to kind of bring home some more bragging rights there as we take a look at Angleton and PM Memorial again. Angleton still holding on there. Willis, Tomball still tied, I believe, still 21-17 there. So it looked like we didn't see any additional scores from that game. Let's see, PM Memorial trying to get back into this one. Again, this Angleton team, I'll keep mentioning it, just an unsung season from them, a team that kind of just stayed in the shadows a little bit. I think that loss to LaPorte kind of kept them out of the rankings this year, because LaPorte, of course, ended up winning that district. If they would have finished the season regular season unbeaten, I think they would have obviously been finished into the rankings. But now, again, I think Tepper mentioned this last year, the rankings do not matter right at this point in the playoffs. Everybody's on the same playing field. Everybody, the seedings are done, so like the rankings literally do not matter right now. And Angleton kind of playing like a team that knows that it's better than wherever we had them seated in the top 10.
Yeah,
the top
currently
25.
sitting at 10-1 on the year. I mean, the last time that they had a double-digit win was back in 2018. They've always kind of been that team that a not so great year in 2023 and 5 that tended to happen in that crazy chaos of a year for a lot of teams. But they bounced back the next year, went 8-4, 9-3, 7-5. They're always kind of right there, and they give people fits. But this was the first year that under Coach Jason Britton that they really, really took that step forward. So excited to see what they're able to keep doing here, and as their defense tries to stop what can be a lethal Port Arthur Memorial attack at times.
With that speed of that defensive line, just making sure that he has nowhere to go, even on a very impressive-looking scramble attempt.
All right, so we're going to let this one play on down in the Houston area. Let's take you up to back down over to Abilene as a DFW team is taking on a West Texas team. It's North Crowley, Coach Ray Gates and company, taking on Odessa Permian Mojo out there in this one. It's going to be North Oh, actually, yes, this one, I forgot. They flipped for home and home in Ray Gates. So Mojo coming all the way over to North Crowley to play this one, and that is Marcus Harper with intercepting the Mojo ball there and taking it all the way back to the end zone. This is a North Crowley squad that can play every single way, and a big part of it there is this guy right here, Quentin Gibson. Is going to catch that screen pass, and then it is an absolute
from him.
track race. I mean, this guy is so stinking hard to tackle. Well, it's not only that. They've also got a run game with this right here. Daniel Bray taking it in and showing that North Crowley is a lot more than just what's on the outside. And then the guy that brings it all together, Chris Jimerson, dropping a dime to Kevin Moore. What a grab on that one.
Stratford and Katie Jordan here. We see Katie Jordan. Tanner West is going to get the ball in there for Katie Jordan for the easy 1-yard touchdown. Right here, as we see, right here on the screen pass, he's going to make his way. Sorry about that. It was a replay there. Looks like Kangalosi from Stratford here is going to get the stripped sack right there, as we see Katie Jordan jumping on the fumble. And we see Katie Jordan back to pass over the middle, picked off. That's Vasevsko, for Stratford. Giving Stratford a little bit of life there against Katie Jordan.
Absolutely. All right, over to 4A Division II we go. Taking a look at scores across the state. Glen Rose, this one is a big one. Currently down by 6 to Seminole. Okay, a very good Seminole squad, but a Glen Rose squad that a lot of people thought could come out of Region 1 in 4A Division II. Van having their way with Van Alsting. A lot of Vans going on there. Hampshire Finette having no problem with Sealy. We talked about them likely being a favorite there in Region 3.
And then speaking of Region 3, Silsbee versus Belleville. This is a very interesting game. Of course, Belleville played for a state championship last year. Silsbee probably was mad to be missing out on one last year, trying to get a little bit of revenge. 14-10 right now. How about Wimberley pouring it on Rockport Fulton? Stover, of course, trying to go his senior year, trying to make a run for his senior year, 62-21 over Rockport Fulton, and Lago Vista 21-0 over the Tarpons of Port Isabel.
Moving on now to 4A Division 1, you can scan that QR code at the top, takes you to texasfootball.com/scores. Canyon West Plains, man, Sammy Burnett's squad and Brownwood just not looking like they're going to be able to get this one done. Sulphur Springs and Springtown. This one was a very enticing kind of Texas high school football sicko one. It's not necessarily two name brand programs, but one that is very high scoring. And then, how about that? Coach Cochran and his Lindale squad currently down by 7. It's early to Navasota, but very interested to see how that one comes out. Could end up shaking a lot of Region 3 out there.
Yes, of course, Lindale had that massive win over LCM last week, 49-21, so trying to keep that going. Tyler Chapel Hill, of course, trying to keep their season alive, 49-24 for Houston Worthing. Still proving a lot of people wrong. Despite being hurt, despite being outmanned, they are still keeping going.
The Sand Crabs!
How about
my goodness!
Vaca Calhoun on San Antonio Davenport.
Wow.
Davenport did my Mandarin Tech Titans pretty wrong last week. I believe they hit the 80s against New Tech last week.
That's Davenport is a heavy favorite to come out of Region 4 down there. The Sand Crabs.
The Sand Crabs absolutely taking it to a very capable Davenport squad. And then Bay City locked in with Canyon Lake. They're up 24-14. But everybody, please keep your eye on that Port Lavaca Calhoun San Antonio Davenport game. 21-14 right now. Sand Crabs leading. We'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, what a shout out everybody in the comments right now too. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, we appreciate you joining us here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. Keep those comments coming, specifically if it's about that Sand Crabs game. We're very interested in that one. So y'all, we'll help you if you'll help us. Keep us updated on what those scores look like, but appreciate everybody taking the time to join us here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. All right, if you're here all the time, you're going to know that it's our favorite segment of Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. If you're new, welcome. Allow us to give you an early Thanksgiving present, because it is time for us to go on out to our very own Director of Recruiting here for Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Dave Campbell's Texan Live, Mr. Greg Powers, in this week's edition of the Cruton Corner. Take it away, Greg.
Welcome to the Cruton Corner, where every week we shine the spotlight on the rising stars of Texas high school football. And with the playoffs here, the stage couldn't be bigger, the lights couldn't be brighter. So who are the top prospects in the class of 2027 that you still need to know about playing in the Texas high school football playoffs? Here they are. DeSoto's Ethan Feaster is the first 5-star in the history of Dave Campbell's Texas football, the first freshman 5-star. As a matter of fact, this 6'1", 175-pounder has been taking Texas high school football by storm since he stepped onto the field his varsity season in 2023. And as a sophomore, he's been even better, leading DeSoto with 12 touchdowns and 688 receiving yards this season. With 45 scholarship offers already in hand, Feaster's combination of size, athleticism, and elite ball skills set him apart as the top wideout in the class of 2027. His ability to stretch the field and dominate in one-on-one matchups makes him a future star at the next level. Bastrop's Weston Nielsen is a name to watch in Texas high school football's quarterback scene. As a freshman, he was thrust into the starting role and exceeded expectations. This season, Nielsen has elevated Bastrop to contender status, throwing for over 2,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. The 6'3", 180-pounder's impressive play has drawn interest from programs like Baylor, Houston, SMU, TCU, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and Oregon. Nielsen's ability to stay cool under pressure, combined with his accuracy and leadership, makes him the driving force behind Bastrop's run. Carice Hoyt has emerged as Frisco Lone Star's breakout offensive star. The 6'1", 200-pound dual-threat quarterback has transitioned into the starting role this season after excelling as an athlete last year. He's already amassed over 2,600 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards and accounted for 47 total touchdowns. His blend of power and speed makes him a scoring threat on every play. And college programs have noticed, offering him roles at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and even on defense. But Hoyt has proven he can lead the offense, and he has Lone Star's offense clicking on all cylinders. That's a wrap for this season's Cruton Corner. We've been on an incredible journey all season long, covering some of the top recruits in the state. But stay with us for next season, as we're going to bring in you some hard-hitting Cruton action, just like we did every week this year.
It's all about kids here first. And our school is really a melting pot, and our faculty and staff really reflects that. I think that's what makes us unique and pretty special here in Frisco. Miss Livingston is nonstop. All of these things go on, and for all the people that participate, really probably don't know who that person is. So you have to be completely selfless, and Miss Livingston is. You have to be really excited about where you work and really love the place where you work, and she does, and be very passionate. And you have to love kids and love your coworkers and love this community. And that's what she does every week.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Texas Army National Guard are honored to present the Coach of the Week Award, celebrating one head coach in 7 different classifications. That's 6A all the way down to 6-man, and of course, private school every single week. Think your head coach deserves some recognition? Nominate them under our weekly Twitter and Facebook post. Those will come out Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 8:30 p.m., and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. That's facebook.com/Dave Campbell's or at DCTF on Twitter. Thank you to Texas Army National Guard for helping spotlight the hard work and dedication of high school head coaches across Texas.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Ozarka will announce 7 Team of the Week winners for 14 weeks of the Texas high school football season from Class 6A down to 6-man, and including private schools. Head to texasfootball.com, go to the awards tab, and find Ozarka Team of the Week to see this season's winners and vote for your program to be named. Winners are announced every Wednesday on Twitter and Facebook.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Panini America are teaming up this season to honor the best high school quarterbacks across the state of Texas. 7 quarterbacks, 1 in each classification, 1A through 6A in private schools, will be named Quarterback of the Week and will receive a virtual Panini America trading card to commemorate their performance. Check out which outstanding quarterback was selected each Tuesday morning on the Dave Campbell's Twitter and Facebook pages.
your power is unstoppable. And with us cheering you on, there's no limit to where it can take you. Baylor Scott and White Health, the power to live better.
The soul of our community is best as a standard, and everybody embraces that when they step on Summer Creek High School campus.
Everyone's really proud to be part of this community. From the top, from the leadership, from our principal to our coaches, our teachers. So we want to make sure that we're always giving it our best. That's what I strive to do.
All right, welcome back into Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. We have a QR code for you to sign, and that is taking you to texanlive.com/subscribe. We have hundreds. Actually, we have thousands of live games on Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Wait, hang on. We've got too many Dave Campbell's Texas. Let me say
Texan
Dave Campbell
Live.
Texan Live.
There you go.
We have thousands of games on there. We hope that you will sign that and join us every single week, not only in the fall, but also the spring. We've got 13 different UIL events that go on in the spring. We hope that you will join us for that. But we are excited that you are here. Checking out the Quad Box, La Vega and West Orange Stark, Ridgepoint and North Shore, Willis, Tomball, and Lake Travis, Johnson. I will ask you once again, my friend, in the power hour of our last show of the year, what is catching your eye?
Well, I'm only going to mention Johnson because this is probably the last time we're talking about them tonight.
Well, also the sick Rattler logo in the middle.
Yeah, shout out San Marcos High, man. I believe this might be TP Miller's first game back at San Marcos High since he originally left San Marcos High School to go coach at Johnson. Of course, a graduate of San Marcos, as we see a little bit of burst of speed there from Johnson. I want to hit on this because, of course, they're down 41-0. I mentioned it a little bit, right? Johnson was hit heavy with a transfer earlier this year of Ty Hawkins going to IMG. Four-star quarterback, he was going to be their guy, right? They thrust in Elvis Estrada, sophomore quarterback there at number 1. They were in a very tough situation here, right? So, of course, Lake Travis is always going to be an uphill climb. We'll talk about them in a bit. They're proving to be every bit as good as we thought they would be. But the one thing I noticed, Christina Huang did a story on Johnson heading into this game over Elvis Estrada and kind of inheriting that responsibility. As you're seeing, he's wearing the number 1 that Ty Hawkins left behind, right? That is a massive thing. Ty Hawkins, of course, is an SMU commit. We should mention 4-star, now playing for IMG in Florida. Estrada, one thing I did not notice, I love that TP Miller gave him the number 1 because he mentioned you're our quarterback, right? And this is, even though you're a sophomore, even though you're thrusted in this limelight, we're giving you all the confidence in the world that we can possibly give you. The one quote in there that I love that he mentioned that I think people don't really think about when it comes to especially high school, Estrada said he didn't hang around with the juniors and seniors before he took over because he's a sophomore.
Yeah, you're
right?
not doing that.
You're not playing varsity before. This is his first year on varsity. And so he says getting to know them over the course of the season has been like the best part of this for him.
That's
which
awesome.
That's something that, again, I always overlook when I hear a sophomore, right? Because it's like, oh, right, they're in none of the same classes except athletics.
Yep.
And so the fact that, and definitely last year he was playing on the freshman team or the JV team. So hearing him say that, and that put in perspective the responsibility that he was just thrown into around June, I believe, was when the Ty Hawkins news came down.
Well, and I think it says so much, too, about the culture that TP Miller has put together there because those juniors and seniors were like, hey, we don't care what level you're in. You're one of us. We're going to look to you as a leader on the field. So you need to come out here and be a leader, and we welcome that. That's a really, really interesting point to be made about, the brotherhood that goes into a team like this, you know?
Yeah, and especially as the season goes along. So I'll recommend that story to anybody. Christina Huang just got hired by the San Antonio Express News, doing a really good job down there. But, of course, let's talk about Lake Travis. 41-0 as we're seeing now. I think the story of this year has been the offense matching the defense that we saw last season when the offense was maybe a little bit of the weak point last season at times, which is odd to say about a Lake Travis team. But, of course, Chaston did, as we see, oh, my goodness, an absolute bull rush. Welcome to the playoffs, kid. As we see an absolute bull rush taking down Estrada there. But this Lake Travis defense has been just as physical as they were last year. and the offense is matching. Chaston did a Van Hopping, of course, we mentioned all their names. They're continuing to look like they're going to a collision course with arch rival Westlake, again, potentially in a regional final matchup, or rematch, I should say. Tomball, how about that? 24-21 right now on Willis. You mentioned it. They cannot overlook this Tomball team because they will come up and bite you in the foot.
And that's what I wondered. And it wasn't necessarily just because Willis was one of the favorites coming out of this region. More so than anything, to me, it was because Willis and DeSoto met last year.
Yes, it was the matchup it's not just the fact that it's Willis, it's who's on the other side potentially waiting.
And it's like, yes, Willis had a lot of pressure going into them. They completely surpassed our expectations this year after DJ Lagway leaves. It was the fact that they played DeSoto, potentially the best out of anybody that had played them all year. You can say what you will about Duncanville, but from a equal size perspective, Willis played DeSoto better than anybody last year. You remember DeSoto went to the state championship and dropped a 70 burger on Summer Creek, okay?
I see Jermaine Bishop there.
They wanted this one. Jermaine Bishop wanted this one. And now this is exactly the type of position that you'll put yourself in to go, uh-oh.
Yeah.
We forgot that Tomball's also a good team and we have to focus on a week-by-week basis.
Yes, you cannot get caught off guard. As we're seeing now, Jack Emerson and Jermaine Bishop trying to maneuver their way down the field. But yeah, it's the DeSoto matchup looming large, but it looks like Willis, again, all respect to Tomball, this is still a very talented team as we see Jack Emerson take the ball up the middle. This is still a team that proved itself to not only be one of the best teams in the state, but a team that should be having aspirations of playing at AT&T, right? Last year, of course, DeSoto was the favorite, but with DJ Lagway, you kind of had them as like, oh, anything can happen, right? This year now, the whole team has kind of stepped up a level. They still have somebody like a Jermaine Bishop still making even more plays. And then, like you mentioned, Jack Emerson stepping into the quarterback position, raising the whole team seemingly up a level. It's been very impressive to watch, as we're seeing here, trying to get something down the field. As you see, impressive showing there. I believe that is DeLeon Robinson. Oh, did he fumble? Oh, my goodness. Townball might have generated a turnover. Oh, that is crazy. Whoa. Okay, so we're back to...
Buckle up.
Yeah, we're potentially in for an interesting finish here. I'm assuming midway/late through the third quarter.
Man.
Oh, boy. This could be a stunner if this one
This would
plays out.
shake up a lot of things. Also, I think Greg Tepper picked Willis to
He did pick Willis.
win. RIP to his mentions.
If this goes through, RIP. I'll say this.
Because DeSoto is all up in the Minchies.
I was going to say that...
Claude Mathis would have a heyday with that one.
The reason why I'm very interested the reason why I think a lot of people are interested in that Willis-DeSoto potential rematch is because that DeSoto hasn't appeared as potent as they were last year, right?
Absolutely. They've shown sign of weakness.
They've shown signs of weakness.
Or humanity, at
Right.
least.
And I think that we pegged Willis as the team to exploit that.
Yes.
And I don't know, again, we'll see how, if it comes to Tomball, we'll see how they match up against it. But I think on paper, Willis was more of the team that would be able to exploit that.
Yes.
As opposed to any other team in this region. As we see Tomball going flea flicker. Oh my goodness, is he going to get it?
Man.
Over.
Hey, I love that play call. I
do love it too.
absolutely love that play call. You get the turnover. You've got momentum on your side. You know for a fact you're an underdog in this game. Be the weird man in the fight. An exceptional play call there by Tomball. Also want to point us out to another final that has been coming down. Argyle officially defeating Wichita Falls Memorial in a very anticipated matchup there in 5A Division II Region 1. 28-21 the final on that one. They will go on to play the winner of the game that we checked in on with Matt Stepp earlier of Walnut Grove and Lubbock Cooper. Looks like Walnut Grove making massive comeback up at halftime, now up 34-21 on Chip Darden's squad. So first year program, Prosper Walnut Grove currently in the fourth quarter, leading Lubbock Cooper and potentially moving on to take on Argyle in the regional semis of 5A Division II Region 1.
Okay, big stop there for the Willis defense. Looks like they're going to force at least Tomball to call a timeout. As we see here, I want to jump into announcer audio for this. Actually, if it's going to timeout, so probably not now. Actually, so
I'll tell
I'm
you
still new
another.
to these transitions. I'm trying to figure out how to do them. So, you're the TV person that usually does these. So.
You've been on here all 14 weeks.
I'm still a newbie.
Oh, give me a break.
I'm a seasoned newbie.
Speaking of more scores going final across the state, this one coming out of 6A Division I, Region 1. Allen Capital be back in every way possible. 59-6 over
goodness.
Richardson. They will go on to take on the winner of Midland Legacy and Euless Trinity.
Okay, all right, yeah. No, Allen Capital B back. I mean, that's 2 impressive wins back-to-back in by-district and area. I mean, look, at this point, we have to start looking at Allen now, like, as the team that's going to be favored to meet North Crowley, in my opinion, right? North Crowley blowing out Odessa Permian in Region 1 there. We'll see how they do against Campbell, though. I'm very curious. I'm very interested to see that Campbell North Crowley game. That is going to be box office.
Yes.
But it just results in Allen, in my opinion, lurking there in the shadows because they're going to see those 2 teams beat each other up and be like, yeah, we'll take some of that. Whoever comes out of there, we're fine. But y'all beat each other up first, and we'll be glad here waiting. I think, of course, they get the winner of Midland Legacy and Euless Trinity on that bottom half of the Region 1 bracket.
All right, let's go over to some scores across the state. 5A Division II is where we check in on. TexasFootball.com/scores has you covered. Todd Dodge and Lovejoy are doing Todd Dodge things. Poor Del Valle. That looks like it'll be the end of that season. We just talked about this one. One to keep your eye on. The winner of this one going on to face Argyle after they defeated Wichita Falls Memorial. Then Texas High. I have got to tell you, man, last week, what Texas High did to Nederland.
Super impressive.
Oh,
one of the more impressive blowouts we've seen in the playoffs so far.
And they're doing it again to Crandall. And then, how about that? You look at another one there at a Region 3 who we think might be one of the favorites, Richmond Randall. Poor Elgin.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find a weakness for Richmond Randall. Again, a new team on the scene, but I'm still trying to find a weakness for them. It's not offensively, it's not defensively. We'll see what it is, hopefully, in the winner of Brenham and Liberty Hill. As we're seeing, 20-15 right now, Liberty Hill over Brenham. We will see how that one goes. That is a very massive game in that top half of the Region 3 bracket. Corpus Christi Miller 45-6 over Sharyland Pioneer. Let's go to 5A D1. See if we have those scores. Amarillo and Richland scoreless right now. I believe that might be a tomorrow game. I'll just double check on that one. We don't have a score for that one yet. Frisco Lone Star looking really impressive against Red Oak, 34-14.
Yeah, that'll be a big win for them if they can get that. Another one I always keep my eye on, Highland Park and Wakeland. Highland Park always seems to be your heavy favorite in this one, yet Wakeland, if any team has ever had that kind of weird curse over them, it's been Wakeland, and it's always at the last second of the game. So I would not, if you're a Scots fan, you're not counting this one over until it's actually over.
No. As we see Frisco Reedy down to Georgetown. Georgetown's another team, probably with Angleton as far as like the unranked, very sneaky contending team there. Speaking of Angleton, 36-22 over PM Memorial. And how about the game that we were very excited down there in South Texas? San Antonio Piper and Flower Bluff locked at 35.
God, man. I am excited that we were in this studio, but I would be really excited to be down there at that game. If there was one that I would have loved to be at, it was definitely that one. I'm telling you, by the way, Caleb McDougal for Georgetown, he was my Young Buck Award winner on Women Talking Football. He's the sophomore quarterback for Georgetown. I told y'all to watch out for him. I told you.
Quick update, our very own friend of the show, Jay Plotkin, is at Brenham Liberty Hill. Brenham 23-20 now, early in the fourth quarter. Reed took the lead on a 2-point conversion, so there you go.
All right, things heating up down there in the Austin area. Excited to see how that one goes. We dive back into game action now here on Dave Campbell's Texan Live and Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. La Vega and West Orange Shark. We checked in on this one earlier. Looks like La Vega trying to solidify this win here potentially.
Oh, untouched. Look at that blocking. Incredible.
He literally did not get touched.
He did not get touched until well past the goal line. That is pure Don Hyde La Vega football. Physical running out of the shotgun. Untouched. I believe that was not Bryson Rowland. That was not number 0. I'm trying to get a number, number 3.
Elbert Jones with a 40-yard rushing touchdown.
There you go. Okay, well, 27-7. How about that for a rematch revenge game for La Vega so far?
We check in now back on Tomball and Willis. Willis able to hold Tomball off on that one and back with the ball here. This feels like one of those that it's you got to get going.
You got to get going. They got the stop they needed defensively. Of course, Tomball recovered a fumble at midfield that Willis coughed up. Willis defense, Wildcat defense, able to stop them and force a turnover, get the ball back for the offense. And now Jack Emerson needs to play calm, needs to play methodical. They get still plenty of game to be called, right? Still plenty of game to be played, I should say, early in the fourth quarter. It's only a 3-point game. As you see, just matriculate the ball to your wide receivers like Jermaine Bishop here, and we'll see what he can do. Yeah, look, if they're going to play that far off of Jermaine Bishop, yes, give him those 4, 5, 6 easy yards, and then eventually he'll do something like that and break away and get maybe a longer gain of 10, 12.
Well, and let's be honest here. We have not seen, not once this year, Willis have to fight back from behind.
Yes. Yep. That's a good point.
They have, they started off a little rocky in the first week of the season against Aldine Davis, only able to beat them by 7. We were kind of like, okay, they've taken a big step back. And then after that, they have not let anyone get into any sort of a close game in the second half. There's been a couple that have been close at halftime, but after that, they've just completely turned on the Jets. So a position now in the 14th week of the season that we have not seen them in.
Yeah. As we see Jack Emerson calmly lining up. Again, Willis doesn't really huddle. They don't exactly play turbo, NASCAR, I should say. But they are a team that does take its time a little bit. You go 5 wide. This is what I also love about this Willis team this year. This 5 wide, a lot of the time, was how they ran the ball with DJ Lagway. They're still running that 5 wide, and they still like to run Jack Emerson out of that shotgun formation. It shows the confidence they had in the senior stepping into that slot this year, saying, we're not changing the offense, man. Like, sure, are we going to run as much? Probably not. But we're going to run the same stuff that we had last year, that 5 wide. I remember every time I saw that 5 wide, and I was like, that's probably going to be a draw. As much as it signals pass, to me it signaled run. And I think he's giving them that similar threat here. As we see them now 4 wide. Talking about Jermaine Bishop at the top of your screen, there he is right there getting the handoff. He was on the slot position, just getting the first down or close to it at least.
All right, we'll head into announcer audio in just a second here. Want to go ahead and give you a couple more big-time score updates. First off, Mount Enterprise took down Wortham 32-28. A big one still going on. End of the third quarter. We told you earlier to keep an eye on this one. Glen Rose currently leading Seminole now 28-27.
Okay.
So the Tigers fighting back to get a 1-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. And then here's your big one for the night. We go down to 2A Division I, Region 3, where upset territory is happening. That was a big, was that a stop on 4th down?
That might have been a stop on 4th down, yeah. Turnover.
That's a turnover on downs. Wow.
Ooh,
huge stop by that Tomball defense. Huge stop. All right, we'll get
to you tease the upset. You got to give the update now.
2A Division I, Region 3. Wascom 13, Garrison 9. I'm sorry, not an upset, but a very close
upset
one.
Watch, yeah.
Yeah, Wascom 13, Garrison 9. The final score on that one, Wascom barely able to sneak it out. They're the district champions out of 10, District 10 in 2A Division I. They will go on to play the winner of Honey Grove and Hearn. Beckville and Cupper still on the bottom part of that bracket, but a massive one out of Region 3.
Okay. How about Fort Bend Marshall still holding their lead against Bastrop? And this is where we start to see, the inexperience of Bastrop in the postseason come into factor here, because you start to be able to need some stops. You start to be able to press a little more on offense. And I should mention, right, I don't say inexperience in general because I mentioned Weston Nielsen's a sophomore, but this is a very veteran-laden team. This is senior skill position players, a lot of juniors as well. But playoff-wise, playing deep into the playoffs, that's where these two teams and these two programs differ. As we see Fort Bend Marshall, their defense able to hold this very good Bastrop offense in check so far. As we see quarterback run up the middle to get a first down on 4th and short. As we see, let's check back in with the West Orange Stark La Vega game. Of course, La Vega going up 3 scores. West Orange Stark needing something. Option play there.
Oh, boy.
Ooh, there you go. How about that to get back in this
What
one?
an
Make it a
answer.
two-score
What a
game.
needed answer.
A needed answer. You mentioned it. This is, again, a rematch of teams that met in the regular season. West Orange Stark won that game by 1. La Vega been taking it to him so far. So a massive response from Hiawatha Hickman's Mustangs. Now the Blue Link defense needs to get a stop and get the ball back to the Mustangs on offense.
All right, I have an actual upset for you.
Oh, okay.
Here, an actual upset.
Actual upset? Okay, what we got?
2A Division II, Region 3, down goes Lovelady.
Wow.
Fremont,
Okay.
27, Lovelady,
As we
14.
see
Oh, my goodness.
A missed extra point. Oh!
Oh, he picked it up.
Oh, is he gonna?
He's off to the races. He just
He's
needs
gotta
that
beat
one
34.
block.
That's actually decent angling from him. I think he can come up. That's actually a really good play from 34 to angle his way to make sure he didn't commit too early, because that could have been 2 the other way. So I'm going to give credit to 34 there, because in that position, you have literally to make such a split-second decision of when you're going to commit. And if he made it wrong, that's going to be a 2 points the other way. But he was able to be patient enough to let his other man kind of cover the outside. So massive there.
Oh, huge pick by Willis.
How about that?
After a turnover on downs, Willis able to come up with it. You pound that chest, big dog.
Yeah, that is a massive, I will say, that's a massive call from Tomball to throw early on that after a turnover on downs, right? You would think you would run the ball there, but it looks like it was a screen, so he might have, receiver fell down. So by all accounts, it was a safe play call on a screen, but an incredible read off an unfortunate, looks like just a trip or a stumble from the receiver.
They were going for that man coverage right there, because the corner that made the pick he was the only person even on anywhere near that side of the field, and just the fall. Wow.
Okay, so now Willis getting another chance after the defense comes up with a turnover on downs, and then they get another stop here. They need to respond, because the defense is giving you everything it's got right now to keep this a 3-point game.
All right, and I believe we have announcer audio on this one. So enough from us. Let's go ahead and head out to the guys out there on the call.
Kind of trapping it against the ground, and he rolled. There's no replay or anything. You can't throw a flag. So it's called on the field as an interception by the ref. 1st and 10, Emerson looking to throw, going to throw it down the sideline to a man there. He has it. No, it fell in and out of his hands. A pick? No. They didn't call a pick.
No, he called a catch.
A catch?
Yeah, completed pass.
He called a catch.
Yeah.
The ball bounced. Did the ball bounce out of his hands? What happened there?
He didn't complete the catch.
It didn't even. Oh, after he came down on the ground, it kind of flew out of there, but he said he came down with it.
Wow.
Well, it's down to the 4. They call it a completion. A pitch out. Now a flea flicker into the end zone. Nope, broken up. What are you running that down there for on the 4-yard line? You pitch it out to the running back, then he's going to toss it? I don't know what that play call was, but
Well, when your base offense is empty, the red zone could
yeah,
be
that's
challenging for you. So,
that's a wild call, but there by offensive coordinator Brian Fitzgerald. If he's making the play calls, it was a little bit of a gamble, but they got away with it. Nothing, no damage. Yeah. He's down here in the bottom, in motion, looking for him. There's the pass out there, but he's tackled at the 5. No yardage.
Number 1, Chance Green on the stop. Looks like he's a two-way player as well for the Cougars.
Can you imagine Tomball holding these guys out of the end zone right here? It's 3rd down.
Tomball has answered the call tonight so far. They do this.
You know Willis is going to have to kick it to tie this game if they don't get this touchdown right here. I mean, unless you just really got a lot of guts.
Got split back here. We haven't seen split back much tonight from Willis.
Here's the 3rd down play, 3rd and 4. 3rd and goal. Emerson claps his hands, looking to throw. He's hit. The pass into the end zone is caught.
Tomball had the right call.
They had it. Oh, and a late flag way back here. The catch is made for a touchdown, and another taunting penalty back here by Willis after the pass is completed to Jalen Mickens. Well, we had some extracurriculars back here after the pass was thrown. A lineman for Willis.
I think
and
he got mad that the Tom ball player kind of drove Emerson to the ground. Enforcing on the kickoff?
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be enforced on, or the extra point. You can't enforce it on the extra point, can you? Can they move it back on the extra point?
I think it's up to the head coach. I think he's going to take on the kickoff, though.
On the kickoff? Yeah. It is a touchdown to Meekins in the back of the end zone to give Willis a lead. 27-24 is your score right now. And the extra point is huge here. This makes it a 4-point game if he makes it. Now we got more guys.
All right, so Willis will continue to add to their score there to go up by 4.
Yeah, I mean, look.
There's no replays
people are going to talk about that call.
Texas high school football until the state championships.
People are going to talk about that call. If Tom Ball comes down and scores, nobody's going to talk about that call. But if Willis goes on to win the game, as we see, hello, Fulsher. This one's just, the brakes have been cut on this one.
Dude, this has got Caduti written all over it. They love this.
Wasn't this like literally the case last week where they were in a not a shootout, but like they won convincingly, but the other team also, let me see. Yeah, it was 66-47 against Pato last week.
If Coach Caduti is not equaling 100 points in the score, then I don't want it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want it.
Yeah, no, he is. This game is perfectly up his alley, the Chargers, as you see. Of course, that running back with the head of lettuce, man. Gorgeous blonde hair sticking out of the helmet. As we see Weston Nielsen trying to get something going with Bastrop. And they're trying 31-10, though. This is a very impressive showing from Fort Bend Marshall. A Fort Bend Marshall team, I will say, been out of the state contending ranking spotlight for a little bit, right? They've been down by their standards. This is a very impressive showing from them against a Bastrop team that I thought we had, or had definitely had been ascending to state contender status this season.
Real fast, want to go back to the Fulshear game real fast. Yeah. They were able to successfully complete the 2-point conversion, which was huge for the score there. That puts you up by 7 now, so they can't get you with an extra point. Exactly. That was a massive, massive 2-point conversion and a very smart play call there by Coach Caduti. Hello, little friend. We love the city of Katy. We love the city of Katy, baby. And we appreciate him taking the time to wave at us. It is Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. We appreciate you joining us. We're going to keep the power hour, the party hour, the fun, the fiesta, and everything in between going here. The what?
The final hour.
Well, don't say that. That gets sad. How about instead of getting sad, we go to 6A scores, because those make me happy. We take a look at 6A scores across the state, starting off with 6A Division 2, and that one is final, my friends. South Lake Carroll able to narrowly squeeze it out against Wolford Friendship. What an incredible game that Wolford Friendship put on.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to Holden Phillips there. Crossed the 4,000-yard passing mark. I believe led the state in passing as he was battling with Sawyer Anderson from a parish Episcopal for the passing crown, and he ended up winning it. But of course, he held his own versus South Lake Carroll there. But South Lake Carroll, of course, the Dragons, Riley Dodge's Dragons, able to come out on top. Hebron 44-21 over Arlington Bowie. Lancaster and Longview, hello. We checked in with Carter Yates there, tied at 28 now.
Okay, John King, we see you.
Yeah,
he said,
exactly.
That Carter Yates guy said that we couldn't get our offense going. It's time to fire it up,
show him some offense. He's going to give you the meanest I formation I've ever seen. Of course, Summer Creek all over Manville right now. Pickle read those highlights earlier. Blake Thomas.
Oh my goodness, San Antonio Harlan?
How about that? 28-10 over. They heard us saying that a San Antonio team can't beat nobody from Austin.
2-1-0.
Yeah, and they said, let's go. We got something for 5-1-2 right here. How about New Braunfels Canyon over Brownsville Veterans Memorial.
That's a team that made it all the way to the state semifinals last year.
Yep, how about that game? Keep an eye on that one, how that one wraps up. Those bottom two, definitely probably the tastiest so far. But of course, that Lancaster-Longview game as well. Keep your eyes there.
That one live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. If you're tired of hearing us talking, go ahead, subscribe, and flip on over. Going up now to 6A Division I, it's the top dogs. We look at Duncanville just destroying Rockwall. Wow, that is a commanding win. The Woodlands over Cy Ranch. Bridgeland showing maximum bears there against Conroe. Fulshire and Houston Lamar. We're having fun with that one.
That one's just a track meet. If you just love points, if you love offense, get over to that one right now. And of course, Westlake taking care of business against San Antonio Brennan in another one of those, the third of those San Antonio versus Austin matchups.
It's like the Battle I-35 week.
It kind of is, yeah, basically.
All right, so there you go, 6A scores across the state. A couple of more that we want to keep you up to date on. Final here, Cupper goes down to Joaquin, 34-24. That one a big one. Yoakum taking down Fairfield, 56-26. And then here we go, Kilgore continuing to show domination, 48-14 over Needville. So taking the cake there.
Looks like a big sack from Longview's defense against the Lancaster team. Now looking a little flustered now. Longview maybe getting a little bit of the hype and momentum on their side. As you see at the bottom right, Houston Lamar trying to cross midfield here. As we see a big pressure from the Fulshire defense, forces an errant throw. And Bastrop looks like they're getting run out of the building a little bit here. Fort Bend Marshall back with the ball up 31-10 as we see La Vega potentially trying to put a stamp on this one. Oh my goodness, a massive statement game. You want to talk about statement games. La Vega crushing a team that beat them early in the season is about as big of a statement. You know what, that Lancaster-Longview game is pretty, as we're going, nope, just kidding. We're going to go to the announcer audio. We're not going to do it because they're going to break.
Don't worry. I've got some great score updates here from you. We've talked a lot tonight about 5A Division I Region 3.
Yes.
This has been a highlight of many of our games. We've got a couple of finals coming out for you. So first and foremost, at the top part of the bracket, Lufkin and College Station went to final with College Station beating Lufkin 49-35. They will go on to play Angleton, because they took them down 36-29 over Port Arthur Memorial. So that regional semifinal round is all knotted up. Then we watched A&M Consolidated squeak it out over Galveston Ball last night. They will now be taking on LaPorte. They took down Barbers Hill 55-28. So A&M Consolidated and LaPorte. Then in the top half of the bracket, you've got College Station taking on Angleton. So both of our regional semifinals all knotted up there for Region 3 in a way that feels right.
Yes, 100%. It does. On paper, it kind of felt like it was going that way, and it's looking like it's going that way now. So always good to see, in my opinion, if you have a hyped matchup in your mind, it's always good to see them eventually play out and be like, oh, we're actually going to get to see that.
Dude,
okay.
College Station, Angleton, next week, yes.
Banger.
Sign me up.
Banger.
All right, well, we appreciate you tuning in here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football tonight. This one all knotted up, heading into overtime. This is box office stuff. Former district bunkmates when they were in Division or 5A, and now we're going to go ahead and take you out to announcer audio on this one.
With the College Park game, along with Klein Collins. Klein Collins is going to be moving on. 70-21 winner sign. So the winner of this will get Klein Collins in the regional round of the playoffs. What a barn burner tonight here in the area round.
Well, for the defense of Longview, it's been cooking lately. For them to cause that fumble on Isaiah Lee, the lead running back for Lancaster, I mean, this is a defense then, it's 28 points, but first off, it's only been really 21 points that they've given up because one of the touchdowns the defense was able to score. They've kept this Lobos team in the ball game.
Yeah, there have been so many game-changing plays tonight. That fumble by Lee, the strip by Longview to give them that chance to tie the game on that next possession. Here we go. Lancaster won the toss. They wanted the ball second. Out of the eye, Washington and Mumphrey in the backfield. Here's Hamilton, going to throw it. The sophomore sensation rolls and throws, and he makes a veteran move. Boy, he has been special tonight, and a guy that's never been on any kind of stage like this all season long.
Well, and for the Lobos, they only had 2 receivers go downfield, and going back to Hamilton, who's shown a lot of poise. Instead of forcing the ball, throws it away, live for another down.
2nd down and 10. Well, for a Lobos team who really, they make no qualms about it. They want to run the football. They average 262 yards per game on the ground. Tonight, they've done their damage through the air, because the run game has just been nullified by that massive defensive front line from Lancaster. Here we go, 2nd down and 10. Washington handoff. Running right as stiff arm gets around the corner. Washington 1st down, 10, down to the 6. His biggest run of the night.
He was able to stiff arm a defender, get around that edge, and for the first time able to show that burst that he has.
So the Lobos are knocking on the door. They've got the ball at the 6. Hamilton. And this Lobos offense breaks the huddle here at the 6, and they quickly get to the line from the I. And a toss to Washington. He's got blockers in front of him, and a bruising run about the 3.
A little disguise there by the Lobos. Looked like they wanted to run right up the middle. In this case, they have a toss. And credit the tackling, though, of Lancaster, because if Washington's able to break off that one tackle, he's probably getting the end zone here.
And mark him just inside the forward, nose of the football right at about the 3-yard line. First overtime, 28 all.
It always seems fitting that these 2 teams are in overtime with the way they finished last year in the playoffs.
Lancaster winning 27-24. Here's Washington, toss right. He is into the end zone. Kelvin Washington scores, and for the first time tonight, the Lobos have got the lead at 34-28.
I think the Lobos have found something here with this toss play. Out of the I formation, Lancaster's still thinking that ball might be going up the middle, but in this case, get Washington out to the outside, and he's able to pick up the big touchdown here to finally, like you said, right, go in the lead.
Well, they have a penalty here. The officials are sorting something out, and Longview all of a sudden, let's see where they mark this off. It does look like it's on Longview. It had to have been after the play, so the touchdown is good. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, and again,
that's key.
Crucial.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alexander Mitchell is going to have to hit an extra point that's turned into now a 35-yard field goal.
Yeah. If Lancaster goes and scores a touchdown here, they pick up the extra point. If this one is missed, they're going to pick up a win here. So, yeah, this is a big extra point, maybe the biggest for Alexander Mitchell's life.
Boy, penalties have played a huge role tonight. Extra point, that's really a 35-yard field goal. Mitchell hits it high, plenty of leg, and he just knocks it through like a chip shot. 35-28. Now Lancaster's going to get the football back. Well, let's put your offensive coordinator hat on, Jacoby Brown. You've got a lot of weapons here. Emmanuel Choice, J.J. Pipkin in the backfield. You got Isaiah Lee. And I mean, Longview or Lancaster, first 2 drives, they look like they were going to put a lot of points on the board tonight. Lobos have made some adjustments defensively. Where do you think they try to attack now?
Well, I'm curious if they go back to Isaiah Lee. I mean, you want to show faith in your running back. I know that fumble happened, but coming back from that injury, too, that he had, and right now it looks like he's back in the game, too.
Now Lee is the running back. Lancaster has to score. There's the tight end motions. Jones tosses. Lee with room. Cuts it up to the 20, and a nice run to the 14-yard line goes Isaiah Lee. That should be enough for the first down. It is.
And that was a dangerous pitch, too. You had Jesse or Hampton Williams, who we've been calling all night tonight, almost looked like he was going to be able to get a hand on that toss.
Tigers at the 14 of the Lobos. Jones empties the backfield. Johnson, now they motion 3 across. Bring Lee back into the backfield. Come back the other way, running right. Nothing there. Reese. And blast him at the 15. Brandon Reese, so impressive at the outside linebacker spot.
Yeah, like you said, Reagan, they flipped the play here in that pre-motion, which when you have that pre-motion, we're talking about it in the beginning part of the game, Carter Jones is able to see what possible coverage he has in front of him, if he has the defenders follow along with those receivers or not. In this case, though, Lobos were able to play that one a lot better than they did on the previous play.
Second down, 11 for the Tigers with Longview up 7 here in the first overtime. Motion a man across. Jones looking. Here comes the pressure again. Boy, Longview has lived in that Lancaster backfield tonight. Another sack, and this time it was Kason Brooks.
It was a long developing play. He was looking for Emmanuel Choice in the end zone, but Emmanuel Choice, the way his route tree goes, he's going inside, then cuts upfield, and then wants to go back outside, almost like a flag route. And at that point, there was just too much pressure there in front of Carter Jones.
So 3rd down and 20. Longview was down 14-0 tonight. They trailed the entire way. Here's a timeout by John King. They trailed the entire game until the final 61 seconds of the 4th quarter on the touchdown pass from Hamilton to Washington. Tied at 28. They get their first lead here in overtime on the touchdown run by Washington. Now a 3rd down and 20. And what Lancaster got to find a way. You got to think Emmanuel Choice, J.J. Pipkin. I mean, those are the two.
All right, so this one's still knotted up in overtime.
I believe Longview should have a score.
Longview
they
has
haven't
a score.
This is so Lancaster needs to score here on a 3rd and long. They have 2 plays to do it after a big sack from the Longview defense there.
So a couple of other score updates real fast before we get you back out to this one. New Braunfels in 5A Division 1 taking down PSJA North 35-32 on an absolute insane last play of the game. Go to our Dave Campbell's Twitter to be able to see how that one finalized. And then another massive one coming out of 5A Division 2. This one happening in Region 3 as Brenham, the Cubs, take down Liberty Hill in the area round of the playoffs. Liberty Hill again moving from Region 4 up to Region 3. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's the game.
That's it.
Wow.
Longview comes all the way.
35-28 and wins it in John King fashion on a strip sack fumble in overtime. Like you mentioned, comes back all this way after their offense looked dead to rights. That's insane.
Wow. Wow.
That is a crazy way for that to end, because I believe that was back-to-back sacks on that too.
That way.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, like you said, this is a team that doesn't, when you think of Longview, you think the first 2 28 wins.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Absolutely insane for John King and his offense to figure it out that much and come back against this Lancaster squad.
Yep, I believe that's John King right now in midfield, leading the handshake line, telling his boys, oh, as we see Fulsher about to go up 2 scores here. All right, I got to get a name on that. Mr.
0 with the blonde lettuce. Man, we could...
It's been flowing all day.
We could be twins.
I was about to say, if you put a helmet on, you'd have the hair sticking out too. So.
I look just like that.
Yeah, just like that.
So real fast, going back to that Longview-Lancaster game, Longview will advance to the regional semifinals in 6A Division 2, Region 2, and will be going on to play Klein Collins. Okay. After their big 63-21 win over the Woodlands College Park.
That is Zane Smith, by the way.
He looks like a Zane.
He doesn't.
I haven't even seen his face, and I know he looks like a Zane.
1,000-yard rusher for them.
Looks like the Pirates of La Vega, Don Hyde, will get the job done there, 42-20, in again a rematch.
Yeah.
Of what was a West Orange Stark win earlier on in this season.
Yeah, I think one you can take away, obviously, that La Vega is, like you credit to you, you mentioned this at the beginning of the show.
Did you just give me credit?
And we'll talk about it later.
Wow, it only took 14 weeks.
This is a team peaking right now, right? This is a La Vega team peaking right now. But also, if you're West Orange Stark, I know this is not the way you wanted your year to end, but coming off of last year, and the things you've done well under Hiawatha Hickman now, you can take that into the offseason and build towards reestablishing West Orange Stark as an East Texas power. So
they will go on now in 4A Division 2, Region 3 to win, and will be taking on potentially Silsby. They're up 34-17 over Belleville right now.
Speaking of final here, Willis holding on against Tombaugh. I think people may talk about that call, of course, late in the game. That was a, judge for yourself, no replays. Yeah, controversial completion catch. But regardless, Willis able to hold on, and now they can wait for that rematch that they've wanted they've waited probably for a year. DJ Lavway probably sending a group text right now saying like, yo, go get them, boys.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, y'all go get them for last year. Right here, as you see the final play there of that game. Willis coming up with a massive sack. And, yeah, taking care of business, man. I mean, credit to Tomball. Really, really pushed him. Like you said, this is not the week to look ahead, and Willis almost got caught looking ahead.
They really did. So that'll shore up both of those matchups now in that same region as the Longview-Klein Collins matchup. So whoever the winner of that Willis-DeSoto game goes on to be will be taking on someone from those two teams.
Yep. As we see Ridgepoint trying to get something going, but North Shore, I mean, what can you say? Speaking of teams peaking right now, I mean, North Shore looks like everything's clicking their way. Of course, the biggest factor for them this year has been keeping Caleb Bailey healthy, and when he's been healthy, they've been unstoppable. And I think this Ridgepoint team is a team that not a lot of people, especially if you're not following recruiting, because if you followed recruiting, you've known about Austin Carlisle, you've known about Dane Jones. But I don't think a lot of people across state really knew how talented this Ridgepoint team was. No. And this is a team that just ran into a team that's played for a state championship and is one of the best dynasties of the last 10 years. But this is a team that was absolutely one of the best in the state, definitely one of the best out of the Houston area. Just, again, luck of the draw type of deal to get North Shore in round 2.
Yeah, and, a difficult Ridgepoint squad, it can't get any tougher, right? Yeah. Well, marker calendars. Yep. Believe the day after Thanksgiving, Katy and North Shore. Oof. We saw it last year in the regional semis, and it looks like Katy currently has a 49-20 lead over. No, that's a final, 49-20 over Cy Falls. So Katy North Shore coming up in round 3.
Okay.
Live on Dave Campbell's Texan Live. Yeah. I can go ahead and tell you that one.
Let's go.
So very, very excited to see that one, as we are every single year. Another big score coming in here. We're headed to overtime in Sweetwater. Glen Rose and Seminole tied at 35.
Ooh, okay. Okay, that's a very tasty one.
Lovely hands on the hips. Oh,
yeah. Devin Sanchez is just like, come on, dog.
Come on. And it's great because he had his hands up and he knew that was about to get him in trouble. So as long as you put those hands down on the hips, you're probably a little less. Okay, see, hands up again.
Yeah. He's going to put him back on the hip. He's trying to get an explanation. It's like, hey, come on. I only had my hand on the shoulder. I thought we were good.
Hands on the hip will forever be one of my favorite, especially when
Ultimate
no one else
sass.
is around.
Ultimate sass. Just come on, man.
Come on, man. Ish gets that from me in the office a lot.
That's very true.
Hands on the hips. Oh, my God. Did you see the ball switch in his hands?
Oh,
again.
Ball switch again.
Boy, that makes me nervous. I mean, it worked, but Lord, son, hold on to that thing.
Yeah, as we see Lamar trying to hold on to something here. We're going to have an onside kick, I presume.
I think people forget that this is not a bad Lamar team.
Yeah.
They came into the season in our top 25 rankings. Yep. We had every anticipation that Michael Lindsay's squad was going to be really good. I mean, last year they went 12-1, made it all the way to the regional semifinals, and I mean, they've been nothing to look down on. We ranked them really high, and then they go out in week 1, play Atascocita. Then they go out in week 2, play Summer Creek. Then they go out in week 3, and they had a 5-point loss to Clear Springs. That's kind of when they dropped off the radar. They continued out throughout the rest of the year and just were kind of fine. Yeah. But that Clear Springs loss, I think, tainted their season a lot.
I think definitely that's pretty accurate. As we see Ridgepoint here getting a consolation score there late. Trying to close the deficit a little bit. But, yeah, I think that all of a sudden we were like, Lamar, I guess we're not going to.
Not that good.
Yeah. But they're hanging in. And, of course, Caduti can't play a normal game. He's just like, everybody scores.
Yeah, I feel like bad for the Full Shear fans because most people go, oh, yeah, we go out to the game. It's about 2.5 hours, and then we go home. And Full Shear fans are looking around going, wait, y'all don't play 4-hour games like we do?
Every game's 4 hours, and it's 70-42. We can't breathe until there's like 10 seconds left.
Oh, wow. A very important score update coming in here. Midlothian 45, West Mesquite 21.
Ooh, yeah. That was an unbeaten West Mesquite squad. That ends their run now.
what West Mesquite was able to do this year.
Yeah, Steven Jackson did an incredible job of turning that program around. As we see a pick there in the end zone, they tried to get a consolation score, and it was, as we see.
I don't know if that's a dance or a pain.
I legitimately, it might be a cramp. I can't tell because I've seen that celebration too,
before,
where they had the limp. But regardless, nice pick there. But yes, West Mesquite, how about undefeated under first-year head coach there, Steven Jackson, coming over from Seagoville, and you mentioned it, like really turning that program around in 1 year. And they have guys going D1. I believe Gibson, one of their talented wide receivers and defensive backs, going to Texas State. They have D1 players there now, and 11-1. Like after I was curious because I saw them against Carrollton Creekview, who was also undefeated at the time, and they were clearly better than Carrollton Creekview. And I was like, okay, I was very curious to see what happens if this team got in the playoffs, West Mesquite, because I was like, is this just a team that they're just that much better than their district?
Yeah.
Then they go out and beat McKinney North last week, and I was like, okay, so this isn't a team that you just place in the playoffs and they get blown out, right? Because we've seen that happen. This team is going to be a team to watch for the future. This is year one under Steven Jackson. I was there on the sidelines. They had a turnover mink coat, which I loved. I loved. Every time they got a turnover, they brought out the mink coat, and it was they gathered around the guy who got it, and they posed for a picture. There's a lot of swagger with that program right now, a program that we have not talked a lot about, and I think we're going to now and into the future as long as Steven Jackson's there.
Yeah, the most wins that they had in the past 7 seasons was 4. They just won 11-1. Definitely a team to watch. All right, bud, we did it.
We did another year.
A season of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, the second one under our belt. We want to really extend a genuine thank you to everyone that tuned in throughout the season. And then to everyone that buys into Texas high school football. I hope that it comes across how much we at Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Dave Campbell's Texan Live just truly love this sport. We love what it means to communities, to people, to fans. And y'all, we couldn't do this without all of you. So happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Merry Texas high school football playoffs. It's the best time of the year. Just because this show is ending doesn't mean our coverage of Texas high school football and the glorious time of the year that is the playoffs is ending. You can go to texasfootball.com to see as much playoff information as you can possibly want. We have a lot of social media channels that you can keep up with the whole time. And then, of course, Dave Campbell's Texan Live. Every single week from here until the state championships, we'll be bringing you full coverage of all the games across the state. And so we are so thankful for y'all to join us. Did you have fun?
It was awesome. It really was. We did something different this year with the format of the show. Thought it was great. We hoped you liked it. We want to thank everybody in the back, all our interns, all of our incredible staff working in the back, of course. Everybody that made this happen, University of North Texas as well, for letting us use our studio for a second year in a row. We're hoping this sticks around, guys. We're hoping this is something that goes into the future we're able to take with us and say, look at the success we're having, because we hope we've brought something interesting to you guys. If you liked a little bit of the taste you're getting, TexanLive.com, TexasFootball.com/subscribe, all the way up till we go to Arlington, baby.
All the way to the state championships for our outstanding and incredible students here at the University of North Texas that helped us to bring this to you all season long. For Vianney Moreno, our associate producer, for Mallory Hartley, our executive producer, for Blaine Tatum, our director, Ishmael Johnson, Greg Tepper, I'm Ashley Pickle. Enjoy the best time of the year, and we'll see you the rest of the season on TexasFootball.com.